which were not useful that much later in the game.
Indeed, and hopefully the next series will start soon. The next series is featuring Pegasus versus Zigzo. So what do you have to say about that series?
I'm rooting for Zigzo because I'm a big fan of him since my Hearthstone thing, and I think he's the creator of elusive decks. He's the master himself who reached the masters with the elusive deck. So I'm interested to see how he plays his elusive deck.
Indeed, it will be interesting to see how the creator himself of that variant is gonna play the deck masterfully, and that variant we are talking about does run that Kinku Wayfinder, the 4 cost
Yes.
card that does summon to one cost minions from the deck or the followers. So like definitely an interesting take on the standard elusive variants.
And I want to see how the elusive deck does against this heavy control decks.
Right, so I mean, usually players are saying that the elusive variant actually does manage to do decent against the control decks in the meta, because you are able to play around those removals with your elixir of iron and stuff. So it's definitely interesting to see like how the mentality shifts there. If you ask any good elusive player, they'll be like, yeah, I'm favored against most decks, but that's not what the mentality is for the general players here.
Yes, exactly. And do you think Zigzag might, change few cards according to the matchups?
Honestly, I don't think so, because like as we saw earlier, like based on the deck's recent results, it's pretty refined already. So it will be interesting to see if we see any tech cards coming out. But my hunch says that that it's not gonna be any out of the box card choices. It will just be the standard variant.
Yes, I think the standard variance is good enough, more than good enough. I think very consistent deck right now. If you're looking to grind out ladder, I think we are suggesting the elusive deck right now.
Indeed, and along with that, we see that the deck being displayed here, the Noxious and PNZ aggro deck. It is a burn heavy variant. It has so many ways to get the damage through with those spell effects or the death last wish effects. So those are like extremely strong as well, and that deck actually does really well versus elusive variants.
Yes, I'm interested to see all the kind of decks, and we also saw that how Ash Harrowing deck lost versus this burning deck.
Yeah, indeed. I think that was Ghost that was piloting that Ash deck, and I think they did lose to that aggressive variant of that Noxious and PNZ variant. Again, it's just a really strong deck, so I think that just means that we haven't seen this deck just lose any time.
Yes, exactly. So hopefully they're gonna start the Zigzag matchup, and who do you are rooting for?
I'm obviously, like as you mentioned, I think we are all a fan of Zigzo as well. Pegasus probably better known in the Korean community, but I don't think we have seen much of him in the previous tournaments, or at least in the Hearthstone meta. So again, we don't know them, but what could be a better way to gain a reputation or a following other than beating Zigzo himself? So
exactly. I mean, obviously he's the underdog here.
Indeed, and we see the Korean casters here, they are commentating as well. So we're just recasting this feed here, so it's gonna be really fun, and we see that the production value is pretty high. What do you think about that?
Oh my god, I think I'm very impressed with this production values from these guys. I mean, see, look at that. That's really look at the Pegasus faction of decks.
Indeed, and we see Pegasus playing mono Shadow Isles here, so definitely I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of variant they bring out. I'm pretty sure it could be the like control based variant with Hecarim, but it could be a different variant as well. And we see that Zigzo does have that Ionia and Failure, which probably means it's the same elusive variant that he has been loving so far.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see this game actually, and actually, the mono
Shadow Isles,
the
yeah.
mono shadow elves. It's really interesting to see that. I mean, does it be only Hecarim?
It could be Hecarim, or I mean I don't know what else it could be. Like there could be an aggressive variant that features Elise and Kalista even. Making use of those death synergies to to provide good use for those black spears and stuff. And we also see the Freljord and P and Z combo here. So that has to be the Israel combo deck, right?
And I think I saw a few of the decks running Thresh in the. I saw a few of the decks running Thresh in the Shadow Isles too. I think Thresh is a good value on the 5 card, right? He can challenge the minions and get the value out of that.
Yeah, indeed. The last EU Invitational that we saw had a bunch of decks that run Thresh, but again, it's a mono Shadow Isle, so I don't think I've seen this specific variant, in the meta at least. So could be a counter deck to the elusive variant again. If the breakades were out beforehand, then if he knew that he's playing against Zigzo, then again they can tech the deck accordingly, and so it will be definitely interesting to see how these decks are teched.
So guys, we are definitely interested to see how this match goes, and if you are enjoying this competitiveness of this game, reminder that we are having a community cup in the next week. Can you tell us about that, Tirth?
Indeed, we will be having a 35,000 Indian rupees prize pool worth, and the cup will be on 14th and 15th March. It will be the more details for that will be out soon. But if you guys are interested, make sure to join us on our WhatsApp group or Discord group. We have an active community going on of South Asia's LOR players, so it is really fun, and we'd love if you guys join that as well.
Great, that's a great opportunity for every player out there. And also congrats to the 2 Indian new players who reached Masters for the first time.
Indeed, we saw Hellraiser, who got Masters with the Demacia mid-range deck. And before them, actually, the Sempog, actually, with aggressive decks. I think he played the elusive variant, the Zigzo's elusive variant, to get first Master from India as well. So that is definitely really impressive.
Yes, guys, congratulations to you guys.
Alright, so we are still just waiting for the feed to start, and you see the Korean casters are laughing and having a good time there, but again, I'm sure they're just waiting for the game as well. It is gonna be a star favored matchup here. Zigzo versus Pegasus, definitely gonna be interesting. Both of these players are in Group A, and Pegasus is the Africa's CCG team, and he's also an HS Pro. Yeah, so even though we haven't seen him before, I think, but their name could be different, when they used to play Hearthstone. So it could be interesting to see how they perform here.
And both of the players are masters.
Right, so definitely it's gonna be a game of the masters here. And we see still the Korean players, the Korean casters still enjoying themselves there. Alright, actually, let's do one thing. Let us recap the trailer here that we showed earlier, right?
So that's really impressive.
Yeah, so let's just read on that, because I definitely would enjoy seeing that, because that trailer was just such an eye candy. It's a really well produced trailer of this tournament here. So let's see if we can bring that on the screen here. Alright, there it is. And that was the trailer, man. It looks so good, it just gets you hyped to play some more Runeterra there. And we see that alright, and we are back. Let's hope that the game has started. And
okay, there you go.
So we see an Elise variant coming down from that Mono Shadow Isles. So it is the Elise and Hecarim variant there.
And we are seeing similar kind of Elise and Hecarim kind of from the other Pegasus also.
No, so I think that's the Zigzo that is playing that Elise Hecarim, because the Mono Shadow Isles, I think, is, of course, as we saw earlier, is being played by Pegasus. So definitely it seems like a Wraithcaller based deck here, and we see the Rekindler as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Thresh coming down there.
Yeah, and there is the Harrowing.
Indeed, so that is the game's, the Mono Shadow Isles finisher there. So we see a really good early start from Zigzo there. Double Elise and the Skitterer will be able to make good use of that. So Zigzo is playing that fearsome
package.
The package with the Demacia's Relentless Pursuit. So definitely a really good choice of decks there.
And there is the Elise from the Pegasus himself.
Indeed, so it is the Elise and Hecarim variant as well, with the Harrowing as their finisher.
And I also see there's a second Elise also, so that could be a great start for Zigzo.
Indeed, and we see the Elise coming down against Elise. They had the option to grasp the 2-3 there, the opponent's Elise there, but Pegasus decides to hold on to that spell.
And I see that Pegasus definitely have an answer with the Black Spear for that Elise.
Indeed, so that could be a reason why they have decided to save those spell mana there. But we see that Zigzo's hand is just looking way too aggressive for this. I think it will all come down to the box usage. A good timed the box can just destroy the opponent's aggressive starts.
Yes, exactly.
And
there is a Skitter.
Skitterer will be able to prevent that Elise from defending here. There is an option to use the box, but And they are deciding to use it just for that skitter, so that is quite interesting.
There you go. And I think he can use the 1 mana spiders right now.
Yeah, definitely. Like
He should use it because it gives him a good bird pressure right now.
Indeed, and they also have 2 copies of that, so like there is no reason to make use of that. This is probably the prime time to make use of that.
Okay, there you go. There he uses it.
All right, 2 more spiders coming down. So again, usually you want to upgrade Elise, but I think in this matchup you rather have those spider pressure, coming down turn after turn. You see some settings being changed here for some reason. Maybe it's trying to find the audio settings.
Exactly, I think so.
Oh, they just had to turn off auto pass. Again, that's an interesting thing as well. Auto pass does allow your opponent to make those reads, based on your passing times.
Exactly. They can't know that we don't have any cards or we have, right?
Right. So definitely a good choice to turn that off. So what do you think is the play from Zigzo here? Like, do you think he should defend the Spiderling with the 1/1s or the Elise itself?
I mean, if he defends right, he's gonna activate the Black Spear for the opponent. But I think the Glimpse is pretty good right now. You can get the card draw.
Indeed. So Glimpse into the Arachnid Horror is a really good play here. Again, does fall on that curve as well, allowing Zigzo to spend all 4 mana on a decent board pressure. So it will be interesting to see if they decide to do that.
And also you can upgrade the Elise next turn.
Indeed. But here we see they've decided to block with Elise itself. So this will activate that Black Spear if Pegasus decide to use that.
I think he needs to use the Black Spear. I don't see any answer right now.
The thing with Black Spear is that it will prevent him from developing the board further. So the option is either between Wraithcaller or that Black Spear, and I'm honestly kind of leaning towards that Wraithcaller. What do you think about that?
No, if he Wraithcaller's right, I think next turn he can upgrade the Elise. That could be a problem, He can challenge the Unix very easily. So I see that he went with your play, Tirth.
Right. So I think even if the challenge here, like board is making positive trades, against those Elise, like there is no threats that allowing the Elise to take any value trades. I mean, it will now since it evolves, but still at 2 HP. So again, like it does not get a value trade and survive. So I think just dropping that Wraithcaller is a lot more significant here.
Okay, that puts the broad pressure too. Makes sense.
Right, and the thing is, like this turn they can use Grasp of the Undying, or they can Black Spear if something dies. So they have some really good plays in this turn as well.
I think Zigzag should go for the Glimpse here. I don't see any other option right now. Or you can just force the attack, right?
Right, I think the open attack here is looking fine. You can just... but again, it doesn't put as much pressure as Zigzag would want. Like only 1 damage is going through this turn if they open attack.
I don't think that... Okay, he's going for the attack right now.
Maybe they'll only make this 1 attack, but not they instead decide to take down. So I think they have... okay, so they can decide to not target Elise as well, right? They can just decide to not challenge, because all these Spiderlings do have Fearsome from that Elise's ability, which will prevent this 2 attack, 2 power units from defending. But they do decide to challenge that Elise.
That's an interesting play from Zigzo.
Yeah, so I think he just thinks that he's way far ahead, and again he has another Elise in his hand, so it does make sense to sacrifice that Elise first.
And also he has the 2 Rekindlers.
Indeed, those Rekindlers gonna be clutch coming next turn. But again, we see the Pegasus does have that Hecarim, so if they take down towards that turn 10, if they somehow manage to survive till then, they will be in a really good position here.
And I think Pegasus is still having the upper hand seeing from the cards he have. He has a great late game if you see the Hecarim and the 10 mana card.
Yeah, the Harrowing is a really strong late game as well, and we see Hecarim will be able to bridge that gap, from this mid game towards that late game. So I would definitely say the Pegasus is ahead, but with that relentless pursuit, Zigzo just needs that one good turn to get that game in their favor.
Okay, that's the first Black Spear for the Zigzo, and there comes the Hecarim.
Indeed, turn 6, when you have 6 mana gems, I think your only play most of the times is gonna be just dropping that Hecarim.
Yes, and also he has a follow-up Rekindler if something happens to the Hecarim right now.
Indeed, the Rekindler does come down, will summon a 4/3 Elise, so that's really strong, but not as strong as just dropping that Hecarim, which will summon those ephemeral units.
Yes, do you think, would you block here?
Honestly, I don't see a point in blocking here. Maybe you block with the 1/1s, but considering they have Challenger, I think I will just wait here. But again, like you can drop one of the Spiderlings to activate that Black Spear, which can be helpful. So maybe there is some merit in blocking the Hecarim with the 4/4 as well, because it will activate Black Spear and it will allow you to clear off that Hecarim.
But the Zigzag should be aware of the rekindlers too.
Right, this Rekindler again is always a threat. Even if you clear off the champions, you don't want to give them the value with the Rekindler. So maybe there is some merit to not using the Black Spear here as well.
Yes. So Zigzag is taking his time. Okay, he decides not to block it.
Right.
Makes sense actually.
Yeah, definitely does not want that Black Spear to get activated or that Rekindler value. So definitely makes sense here. Alright,
okay, that's the Mark of the Isles, and I also see the Relentless Pursuit.
And the Pursuit, yeah. So Zigzag has a lot of options to go aggressive in this turn. With 10 mana to spend, they will be able to play a lot of minions here. So they can either decide to play Rekindler and Pursuit, or they can go for a Wraithcaller and make use of that Black Spear as well after that.
And also we have to make sure that Pegasus also having 10 mana harrowing just to counter attack that.
That is true, but I think honestly you don't want to spend the harrowing to counter your opponent's attack. Ideally you want to use it on your attack turns, to make use of those ephemeral units to push damage.
There is another Elise from the Rekindler.
We could see a Grasp of the Undying here, which is I think totally still okay, right?
Yes, I think okay, he's going for the Mist Wraith.
Right, so that will allow them to buff up the other Mist Wraith as well, which will allow them again to defend against those fearsome units.
Interesting plays from both the players.
Indeed, and we see there is no good value trades for those elusive challenges here, so that's quite unfortunate. But I think still attacking with the 4/4s, the Rekindlers definitely makes sense. It's all about if they want to attack with the other units still.
Okay, I think he's going all in.
Indeed, with the Black Spear online and the Relentless Pursuit, they just want to ensure that they're able to push as much damage as they can in this turn.
So that's a good play from Zigzag.
Indeed, I'm assuming the Grasp of Undying is going to come down on the second Elise here. What do you think about that?
I think that's the only option to prevent that Elise anymore, because if he let it leave, right, it's going to get out of the hand.
Indeed, but again, we see that Zigzag does a Mark of the Isles that they can use on that Elise to prevent it from dying and push even more damage. So we saw the Obelisk Eye being used to see that 12 damage is being thrown towards the face or the nexus of Pegasus here. So he definitely has to defend here somehow. And I mean, I only see one option, right? You can only grasp here. Oh, he decides to not use anything. So definitely interesting turn here.
Okay, Zigzag is very close to close this game one, but we'd like to see if there's a comeback possible from the Pegasus himself.
Indeed, I definitely think the Pursuit is just going to come down, They only have 2 units on board, so if they're able to push at least 1 damage towards the Nexus, they will be able to win the game. Zigzag will come out victorious if they do decide to do that. And I think that's a very clear play. You have the Mark of the Isles as well to play around against any Black Spear or Grasp plays,
Okay.
So we
there
see.
is the Relentless Pursuit.
Indeed, and as we expected, this should be the game. I think there is no other option that Pegasus has to prevent this lethal from going on.
So do you think, would you use the Grasp on the Elise here?
I mean, from Pegasus' perspective, that is the play. That is the only play that is allowing him to survive on board. But we have the caster's vision, right? We are able to see that the Mark of the Isles is present in Zigzag's deck. But you don't know that as if you are Pegasus, right? So
yes, exactly. There comes the Mark of the Isles, and that should be the game, I guess.
Indeed, Zigzag will be able to use Mark of the Isles there and just push for a lot of damage here, which will result in the KO there. I mean, of course, I think you just have to use Grasp here. There is no point in not using that, because now if you do, you can't play even burst spells that you might draw. So there's just nothing that you can do to. Actually, they are at 6 health, right?
Wow, they could survive this game.
Right.
Pegasus survives this game, and he has the harrowing next turn.
Indeed, so that could be a twist in the game here. I totally forgot that Grasp actually heals as well.
Yes, exactly.
So they went from 3 health to 6 health, which will allow them to counter this aggression from Zigzag. And as you said, with the harrowing, this could still be Pegasus' game here.
So let's wait and see what happens.
We see again the Obelisk's Eye being used. That's one of the tips that newer players don't do. Making good use of that allows you to quickly calculate the outcome of the battle here.
I think that feature is really good.
Indeed, that's definitely really good. And we see the trades being made. Hecarim has died, so the harrowing is now even more stronger.
And okay, and we see there's a friendly skitter.
And with the mark of the eyes as well, this should just be game here, you know.
Yes.
Harrowing coming down, it's gonna summon a lot of strong minions here. Even if it just summons Hecarim, I think that's just, you know, probably good enough to finish off the game. So
There was a harrowing, guys. And there's your Hecarim and Elise. Three
oh
Elise.
my god, 3 Elysies. I haven't seen 3 Elysies on board like this, you know. That's definitely really interesting to see.
Like the okay, I think the only option I see is the Skitter.
Yeah, I mean, you have to skitter there, but still, like, you probably can see, you know, that there is just no way to defend against this. Like, you'll have 3 units, so 3 units will still connect, but I mean, you can just let the 3 Elysies go through, you know, which is only putting 3 more damage to Nexus. So Zigzo is alive here still somehow. We see actually the Race Collar being used here, or at least being considered, and yes, they do actually decide to play it.
Okay, unfortunately, it doesn't top deck the.
Yeah, the Mist Wraith. So that's interesting. Why do you think they decided to play that instead of that Skitter? I think Skitter was just a lot stronger here.
Yes.
So this means they're pushing what? At least, I think 8 damage. So I think they're just pushing all the damage they need here. Because Hecarim will push 2 damage, right?
Yes.
With the Overwhelm. And 3 units will at least go unblocked. Right? So
Do you think this is the game?
yeah, I think combined with the Mark of the Eyes especially, I think that's just game. The only out that Zigzo has was to use that Frenzied Skitter there, I think.
Okay, guys, I think that is the game for Pegasus. And Hecarim.
Hecarim even evolves here.
That's a 5/7 Hecarim.
5/7 indeed. So +1 damage coming out from that Overwhelm unit. That is also really interesting. And there we see the Hecarim's ability proccing here. And Zigzo is probably just gonna pass here because I don't see any way for him to defend here.
And that's the game of Pegasus.
Really well played there. You know, the Grasp was able to, they made really good use of Grasp. You know, they baited Zigzo in using that Pursuit. And the Grasp was able to keep them alive at just 2 HP, which is really interesting.
And if you remember, he was saving that Grasp for like 3 or 4 rounds.
Indeed, he like decided to just save that Grasp for the crucial moment like that. And there we see Pegasus taking on the game 1 here. So some really good plays coming out from both the players here. We saw that the fearsome rally deck, the fearsome Demacia deck here, not able to win against the Mono Shadow Isle. So definitely really interesting there.
I think that's an interesting take on the Mono Isles deck. I only saw Hecarim. I didn't see and I didn't see any other champions from the Pegasus.
Yeah, I mean there was that Elise, right? The Elise and Hecarim. But yeah, apart from that, that was the only 2 champions that that deck Mono Shadow Isles is running. So I think it's still like that aggressive Shadow Isles variant. It has just decided to, you know, not run any of the cards such as the Demacia's Relentless Pursuit or the Ionia variants that we have seen with the Wheel of Ionia.
So do you think the Zigzo will queue up as the same deck again or the elusive one?
Right, so I mean, I don't really know the format. I think it's the standard conquest format in which you have to win with each deck. So in that case, I think there is, let's see, okay, so we know the opponent has Israel combo, right? And the Demacia and Ionia could be either variant. It could be the Shen Fiora barrier variant, or it could be the Lux Karma control variant.
I honestly think this Hecarim deck of Zigzo should do well against the Israel deck.
Right, so I mean, Israel decks are usually strong, but the Relentless Pursuit, you know, that card single-handedly can win so many games if the Demacia and Shadow Isles deck gets a really good start. So again, it's gonna come down to how much removal that opponent has. You know, those beams, those mystic swords, and even those brittle steels can do really good in that matchup.
So guys, we're just waiting for the game to start. And in the meantime, also we are letting you know that we are running a community cup next week.
Indeed, next Saturday and Sunday, this 14th and 15th, we will be running that community cup with 35,000 Indian rupees prize pool. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure to join our WhatsApp group for more details. And for now, we'll just take a short break. Hopefully this game will start in a couple of minutes, but don't go anywhere. As soon as the game starts, we'll be back again. Alright, and we are back, and we see that Pegasus is playing the Z variant, I believe, while Zigzo is on that aggressive Noxus PNZ deck.
So what do you think about this opening hand from both the players?
Yeah, the opening of the Demacia deck, is just insane. Look at that hand, like that's the ideal hand you want in this matchup, I think.
I think that's like the dream hand for any of the Dementia players, because you see that there's a great curve, 1 drops and 2 drops and 3 drops.
Indeed, and they also have the option to go double 1 drops if they so desire. And like knowing that the opponent has not played anything, I think it's totally worth to just do that. And we see the Draven, Zigzo is playing that Draven variant of Noxus and PNZ aggro. So again, it is still the discard based variant, but it is more minion heavy in approach than the burn variant that we saw earlier.
Yes, I think the Zigzo's game plan should be just going to the face right now, but there could be the change because of seeing this board right now.
Indeed, and this hand is like so ideal to deal with all the aggressive starts from almost any aggressive deck, Like these early minions are really good stated, they have challengers, so they are able to make good trades on the board.
So what do you think? Do you play the spider one when someone has a spider just to get the broad pressure out?
I mean, I think you have to do that. Your other play is just playing that 2 mana card that can be summoned as well with discard effects, So it's definitely makes sense to play that house spider here.
Okay, and forcing him to the challenge them.
Indeed. The only question is, again, I mean, there's the answer already. But yeah, there was an option to save 1 mana for that Radiant Strike. But knowing that there is a value trade here, he just decides to play that C3 as well.
I think Zigzo is going to save the 3 mana damage for the Z to clear the Z.
That does make sense, but like that's the Draven that's just gonna drop it instantly. Draven having quick attack will be able to get through most of this, but again, if we see the barrier coming down on the 2-1 or the 2-2 even, that combined with that Radiant Strike will be able to buff it into the range of where the Draven would die. So that is a really good heads up play from Pegasus.
I don't see the hand of the Zigzo being okay. There is the second Raven.
Indeed, and Zigzo just had to pass there, and already like we see the board is just snowballing in favor of Pegasus here.
That's a great board, and it's very good board right now that could really hurt Zigzo at this moment.
Indeed, and with the challenger on that Feather Fleet tracker, they will be able to challenge that Draven. So I think in response, Zigzo will have to use that Get Excited, or maybe that Worrying Death, but I think Get Excited is just a bit stronger in this situation. But yeah, they'll have to, like Pegasus will be able to force that out of Zigzo.
I think Zigzo needs to stabilize this game. I think he is forced to use those spells right away.
Yeah, and you really don't want to use them to, clear off the challenges or the aggressive minions. You want to use them to get through damage or just use them on face, ideally. But we see that is not the option for Zigzo here. So for now, he just basically passes, but still does summon that 1-1. And we see the challenge coming down here. So again, the plays will be the same. I think there's just no variation of plays that are better than this one. It is interesting that they're deciding to hold off to that 4-3 attack here. What do you think about that?
Maybe he's just too afraid to commit right now because of the how many spell based Zigzo has.
Indeed, so he could be afraid of Zigzo saving some spells there.
I think the other reason is if this 4-3 dies also, right? I think he's very bad on these cards right now. He's only having 3 cards, Z with the Radiant Strike and the 2 mana spell.
Right, but we see that on board it's not dying, right? So like that alone kind of makes me think, okay, I get what he's trying to do. I think he's trying to play around Brothers Bond actually, right? As we see here, that being dropped down, he will be able to keep that C3 alive if they use that Radiant Strike.
Okay, that should clear most of the Pegasus board.
Yep, but we see that again that Radiant Strike will be able to keep the 4-4 alive in this case. So really good heads up play from both these players here. Again, just playing to perfection here.
That's too much of mind reading. What do you say, Tirth?
Indeed, it's all about playing around those spells, or sometimes even playing into those spells. Like you wanna scout out what your opponent has.
Exactly.
So sometimes you give them a decent opportunity to use it, and it then comes down all about patience. If you have the patience to make those reads, to not take even the best plays available to you and keep them for even better plays, then that player should come out on top.
I think the main key trick in this game is saving your resources later, because you don't have to be in a hurry to just use them right away.
Indeed, it's all about like making good use of your resources. You don't just have to play them on curve or anything. Like we see the Z there, still in the hand of Pegasus here. He has not decided to drop it just yet. I'm assuming next turn is definitely gonna come down, but this turn again, as we see, they do decide to just pass up the turn here.
And also, we know that Zigzo definitely has an answer to that Z immediately.
Indeed, he's still saving that get excited for that. So really good heads up play there. They know that opponent will have some threat, so they are just ahead on board here, and hence they are just deciding to save up on that removal option in case it's needed.
I'm interested to see what Zigzo's go for here.
Indeed, and I think just open attacking here is totally fine as well, but they do play that jury rig here and summon that minion there, and we see the 4-1 getting dragged out by that 0-2. So now here they can choose to just discard a bunch of stuff and give it one attack.
Maybe that could be the play.
Right, which will allow them to clear off that 4-1. But again, we see the hand of Pegasus. He does still have that Radiant Strike and even single combat. I think single combat on that 4-1 and just use that to kill off that Draven is a really good play here.
Okay, there is the 4-3 block for the 2-1.
And what do you think about that single combat play? Do you think you should go for that, or are you afraid of removal from the opponent? And we see again, when we ask questions, the players already have the answers and they do decide to cast that single combat.
Yes, and Zigzo is emptying his hand.
That's really interesting as well. And of course, the get excited coming down there will keep Draven alive. So again, some really good plays there by both the players. And right now Zigzo is ahead on board, but Pegasus does have more resources in hand. So if they're able to deal with this board itself, then they're in a really good position. And now from here on, it's all about the stop decks. Whichever player and the Mystic Shot coming down there. What do you think about that?
There is the Mystic Shot for the Z.
But we see the Radiant Strike still in the hand of Pegasus, so they will still be able to get out of the range of that Mystic Shot.
Yes, exactly. I'm really enjoying these mind games on both the players.
Yeah, it's all about saving up your resources to play around the removal options. As we see the Radiant Strike coming down here, and we see the Zigzo's webcam there, he's visibly upset there.
He's start to see so much of upset.
As he knows the importance of that Z, when both players are at low HP, that Z will be able to push so much damage here. We see that the buff is on that 4-1 here, so they're just trying to keep it alive against that 1-2.
That's so much of damage right now.
Indeed,
I think he's forced to block it. Yes, he's forced to block.
Right, he has to force, and you can't even cast that spell generated by Draven, right? Like, it requires a discard mechanic, discard fodder basically. So it is just a lot of damage, 13 damage to be exact, just going in the favor of Pegasus here, and suddenly he has taken the board lead by so much. Z even evolves as well, so now it's really difficult for Zigzo to come back from this situation.
And Zigzo doesn't have much of the resources right away right now.
Indeed, we see Jury Rig though coming down. It will allow him to cycle off those zero-cost spells for some more important tools here. So really good top deck there. And we see Lucian coming down from Pegasus.
I think Lucian could just close off this game right now.
Indeed, Lucian also has that quick attack, so he'll be able to make good use of it next turn. But again, it's all about what Zigzo is gonna get from that discards. And we see that they haven't decided to play Rummage here. They are still saving off that Rummage, which is definitely interesting. And we see it is being challenged, the Z is being challenged. There is no way for Pegasus to keep it alive. And as we see, the game is just back and forth.
Yes.
Whichever player has incentive, they are able to take control of the board.
There's a Lucian dropped.
And we see Brothers Man top deck here. Now I think is a good time. Oh my god, and Z top
There's
deck.
a Z again.
This is just all about top decks at this point. Each player getting cards from their deck that are extremely crucial in that turn. We see Get Excited though, getting drawn from Rummage usage.
Oh my god, I'm enjoying this game. Whatever you think.
This is just insane back and forth game here. Both players making good use of resources. And we see that the Experimenter will be able to deal 3 damage to Z as well. So, and draw 3 cards as well. So,
I think Zigzo is back in this game, boys.
Indeed. And look at this. Suddenly, board position in favor of Zigzo as well as the cards in hand. So, all the resources going in favor of Zigzo except the life total.
Yes. So, what do you think is the play here?
I think they're just forced to defend here. You don't want to go down to 2 HP, right?
But I see that Zigzo is hesitating to block right now.
Indeed, and maybe they might not just block here because they know that opponent cannot have any burst option, right? They are out of cards in hand. So just taking 3 damage here, if it is giving them enough lead in the next round, then there is some merit in not blocking.
And there's also Zings in the hand for Zigzo.
Indeed, Zinx will be able to just destroy the opponent there. And at this point, again, it's still about top decks, but so far Zigzo is definitely ahead on board and in this game as well.
Okay, there's a 6 mana 6/6.
Indeed, that Cithria top deck is extremely strong here, but we see that Jinx coming down and the discard folders and the discard cards in hand. But if they block Cithria with, if they use Cithria to block the 4 attack things, Brothers Band will just blow him off the game here and just will allow Zigzo to win the game here.
I think Zigzo is in a great upper hand right now.
Indeed, already threatening lethal here, forcing Pegasus to block here. And again, there is just no good block. Like, it looks good to block the 4 attack guys with Cithria, but Brothers Band in hand will allow him to make use of the quick attack to clear off the Cithria as well.
So what do you see the play here for the Pegasus?
I think they are just forced to defend, right? But again, it could be that they will defend the 4 attack guy with Lucian and block Cithria into that house spider.
I think that's the only play I see here. Okay, I think that Pegasus is taking his time to really think through.
Indeed, and we know that they have a good option, but knowing the opponent's hand, like knowing Zigzo has that Brothers Band, I think it's just game over after this turn.
Zigzo is looking to draw this series to 1-1.
Indeed, and we see that the Noxious and PNZ deck again, like it just continues its streak. Even though it's a different variant, it's still performing well.
I think PNZ has a great burst heavy decks.
Yeah, indeed. Like it has a really good board control based deck or burn heavy decks. We see these attacks coming down. Look at this board position now. Only the 3-1 against 3 different really good stated minions along with 2 champions. So that will allow Zigzo to take a really strong lead here. And he's also able to empty his hand here, which will evolve Jinx as well.
That's the upgrade for the Zings.
Even though they will not get the rocket this turn, they will draw another extra card, the next turn. And we see the 2 cards being drawn there. A Z draw is really good here, but
That's the Z draw.
this does force Zigzo to block with everything here.
Yes.
But he does have some more jump blockers there in the hand, so he should just be fine. Wait, actually, if they just clear off the hand and they'll be able to cast the rocket this turn itself. So this is just game over. Like he just has to block and not allow Jinx to die, and they will be able to secure this win here.
Really interesting gameplay from both the players till the end, not giving up a single turn.
Indeed, and it was just so back and forth. One turn we were like, yeah, Pegasus is winning, and the next turn we were like, Zigzo is winning. So that was just a really good back and forth game there.
Okay, there's the blocks coming from the Zigzo.
Indeed, and only Zed committed to attacking there. Lucian does upgrade there, but again, as we know, Jinx will be able to get the rocket down this turn, and if that is being casted, there is no way for Pegasus to do anything, and they will take the game here. Zigzo coming back 1-1, series will be tied after this game.
Great plays from Zigzo. I'm really impressed with this, how he played the deck and not giving up a single turn.
Indeed, that Draven actually really worked out. He was able to survive the whole game as well. So really good usage of spells to keep it alive.
So that's the 1-1, guys. Really interesting plays, and I'm surprised how PNZ decks are doing overall so good.
Indeed, PNZ and Noxious decks are definitely on really good performance here. And regarding this tournament, it is the Korean Invitational. 16 players are invited. They are put in a group of 8 players each. And today we will be showing the Group A's games in which Zigzo is there. And a bunch of other players are there as well. In Group B, we see that I think Surrender is playing as well, right?
Yes, we know Surrender from the Hearthstone's competitive scene.
Indeed, and apart from that, we also have some really good professional players such as Dawn and Daeoni from Cloud9 as well. So these Korean players are just on top of their game, And we also see that Gong Gong Singh is also playing as well, who is an HS Pro as well. So it is definitely interesting to see these players battle it out. And the format is quite simple. Both the groups will be playing in a single elimination bracket, and the two players will be then, or I think the top four players will have some different format. But for today and tomorrow, it is all about those group stages, single elimination games.
And also League of Legends players, we have a familiar face, SKT former player Wolf, coming in to play in the Legends of Runeterra game. We all know Wolf from the SKT team. He's a great player.
Indeed, and again, the game does share the same universe as League of Legends, so there is a lot of player overlap. The game has been able to capture the card game audience and the Riot or the League of Legends fans as well. So, really good tournament coming out from this Korean Invitational here. We'll be taking a short break as well, and as soon as the game starts, we'll be back. So don't go anywhere. And we are back again, and we see finally it is time for Zigzag's elusive.
Of course, it's the master himself playing the Zigzag elusive deck.
And keeping that Omen Hawk and the Green Glade duo here in the Mulligan phase, does get Nevori, Blade Scout, and Will of Ionia there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but does the original list play Will of Ionia?
Yes, they do play the Bill of Ionia.
Alright, so
at least the latest list, not the old list.
Oh, okay, yes, because I'm only familiar with the lists without Will of Ionia. So that's definitely an interesting card choice there.
I think Will of Ionia is a great card, and where when you want to dish out that extra damage, you can recall the enemy units and push out that damage, or you can also Will of Ionia your Z just to save him.
Right, and so definitely an interesting play there, and we see the Omen Hawk coming down again, just a really good turn. There was an option to play the Blade Scout as well to push 2 damage here, but Zigzag favoring the buff on the future minions.
And also we see there's a good curve from the Pegasus himself.
Indeed, but I mean, look at that combination of cards, those Green Glade duos. I think they'll be able to just snowball this game away,
Yeah.
if not answer. And we see only one answer is available in Pegasus' hand, and that's that single combat.
That single combat is a really key card for Pegasus right now.
Yeah, but again, it can be countered with Will of Ionia if they allow Zigzag to save up the mana to cast it, So those Green Glade duos and the Blade Scout will come down here, and it's gonna be so much damage. And already we see the power of this deck, right? The elusive units being able to push so much damage in the early game and the mid game, And already, if you don't have any counter to elusive units, if you don't have your own elusive counters, units, and that just means that opponent will be able to run away from the game.
Okay, that's some heavy damage coming out, right? That's 10 damage in one turn.
It's so much damage, and like already at half HP, like next attack turn from Zigzo could just be the end of the game. But we see Pegasus does have a couple of relentless pursuits. Maybe they'll be able to make good use of that to force Zigzo to block with those elusive units.
I honestly think he should be using the relentless pursuit just to make sure he forces Zigzo to use those blockers.
Indeed, and that is the plan for Pegasus. Considering the hand they have, they're considering what to support here. They do decide to go with that Z buff.
So he's going for the Z.
Alright, so do you think Zigzo should block here?
No, I don't think. Okay, Zigzo is saving his elusive units to just end the game.
Indeed, so that's probably the game plan throughout the game for Zigzo. Just keeping those elusive units alive and making use of the other minions just to jump block there.
And also don't forget Zigzo is down to 9 health too.
Indeed, and we see those relentless pursuits, they can come in really handy. Another relentless pursuit here could mean, a 5/4 Z even so.
And if Zigzo blocks, then it's the end of the game for Zigzo. At least the most probable, because it's very hard to get back on the board with no board clear from Zigzo himself.
Indeed, and I think the Will of Ionia will have to come down if relentless pursuit is the question from Pegasus. So we see Zigzo currently passing, and he is indeed saving up that mana for Will of Ionia.
And I think he's gonna use the 3 mana 3/3 just to get the card draw out of this one.
I think the pursuit here is just way too strong. Again, as we discussed earlier, it does force Zigzo to block with those elusive units. And we see that is the Will of Ionia. And we see that Pegasus kind of expected that, we saw a slight nod of head from Pegasus. Again, just Zigzo saving the 4 mana. That's quite a good read from Pegasus.
So now you see how useful is the recall card, Tirth?
Indeed, the Will of Ionia making an appearance in this deck and just having some really good value plays in that turn. But again, we see the board is still in favor of Zigzo here. So those green glad duos will be able to connect again as well.
Yes, so let's see. Okay, there's another Glingray duo.
Yeah, so that's total of 9 damage here, just one off. But we see that Zigzo will be able to play the Nevori Conspirator, which will provide a buff to the minions, and itself is a 3-attack minion as well, right?
Yes, and that's a heavy lethal right now. And I think Pegasus is supposed to use a single combat.
Yes, but again, as you say, the single combat is really strong card as well. It will prevent the most highest attack green glad duo from connecting to the face, which will probably allow him to survive another turn as well. If I calculate right, I think with single combat, Zigzo is still pushing at least 7 damage from this current situation.
There's another Conspirator. And he buffed his green glad duos, and that's 9 damage total right now. With the 3 and it is total of 12 damage.
Indeed, but again, the single combat, if it is being used on that 5/2, then Zigzo will be left with only 7 damage on board. But even then, I think that's really strong as well, right? He will still be in the lead here. It's all about those relentless pursuits and how Zigzo is able to defend against that aggressive push from Pegasus.
So Zigzo's not even thinking a moment and going for the direct pushing the damage.
Those elusive units, there is just no reason to keep them from attacking from the bench there, and we see the single combat does come down on the 5/2 as we expected.
But I think Zigzo is in a great advantage. Pushing that 7 damage is very necessary.
Indeed, but the Z will be able to force answers from Zigzo as well, so it will be interesting to see how Zigzo navigates around that Z here. We see that the Jewel Protector is in hand, and that can be a really strong play there, or they can just play the Kinku Lifeblade and stabilize off of that as well.
So let's see what the players are thinking right now.
I think the turn from Pegasus is quite clear. I think you just want to open attack here, honestly, because you do want to ensure that you are connecting with Z as much as you can, especially that relentless pursuit in hand. So
yes, and also that forces him to block, right? Zigzo needs to block that, or else it's a 6 damage to the face.
Right. So I mean, he can decide to not block for one turn, but if the relentless pursuit comes down and then is threatening lethal, so he definitely has to block after that.
Okay, Zigzo is very brave right now. He stays alive with 1 health and Zed gets upgraded.
Indeed, and Zigzo showing the mechanics here, he knows that he has to play to win here and not lose, so he's saving up those elusive units to go for lethal next turn. Relentless Pursuit, though, will be able to disrupt the plans of Zigzo here, as I'm pretty sure that's gonna be the play, but maybe they are able to play that Redeemer, the Vanguard Redeemer first, before Relentless Pursuit. What do you think? What should they do? Should they just open attack? I mean, just cast the Relentless Pursuit first, or you wanna see the Redeemer coming down first?
I honestly like the Redeemer first.
And so, like, you want that extra
Card
aggressive
draw.
options and the card draw as well.
Yes.
But I mean, you can't really make use of the card that you draw most likely, right? So I think the open, just using that Relentless Pursuit here makes sense, and it will force Zigzo to block. But again, we see he has 3 units to block with, right? So he will be able to block quite easily. And maybe now we will see the Redeemer come down.
Zigzo is forced to block right away right now because he has no health to survive right away.
Indeed, and even if he plays the Redeemer and Zigzo blocks with all 3 minions, he can still play a lifesteal or like the elusive, the what's it called, the hatchling, right?
Yes.
The 7 mana 4 damage hatchling, which is elusive, so it will still push enough damage to get through. And we see the lifeblood coming down here, and
That's
now
that's a lifesteal.
Indeed, and Pegasus tried his best to push for lethal this turn, but Zigzo with that life blade and the lifesteal will be able to defend against this push quite easily and probably push for lethal next turn.
That's an interesting play from Pegasus. I'm honestly impressed with how Pegasus has played this every turn from the first game to this game.
Indeed, it's just that the cards have not been in his favor so far. But like, if we see the mechanical side of the things, then I think both players are just playing to perfection in this whole series here.
Yes. So Pegasus taking his time, just thinking how can he maximize his damage and end this game.
Indeed, if he does not attack with the Redeemer, then he ensures that the minions are dying. But again, I don't see any reason to keep the Redeemer in hand. And we see all the units getting blocked, and Zigzo still alive. I mean, still keeping that lifeblood unit alive, so he will be able to push for lethal next turn.
So Zigzo is on the par right now. He has a great advantage right now. He can push for that.
Indeed, and look at this heads up play from Zigzo here. Playing that hatchling first will ensure that even if the Purify comes down, which was top deck by Pegasus, it would not be enough to prevent this lethal damage here.
That's a great thinking from Zigzo right there.
Indeed, knowing the opponent's deck or even without knowing, and it's just really good heads up play to play that hatchling first. Pegasus, just trying to analyze his different options, but he should realize soon that there is just nothing he can do with the cards he has in hand. Playing that C3 probably doesn't matter, but again, why not play it? C3, one of the most loved unit or the character from this Runeterra universe that was rarely present in the League of Legends universe, so players definitely love that, and it is great to see it come down here, but the hatchling will be able to secure Zigzo's second win.
And that's a 2-1 for Zigzo. And the master himself using these master skills to secure with his own deck, and that shows how good he is as a player, right? He played exceptionally well with the skills of elusives and everything. How he blocked and how he forced. He went down to 1 health. That's really scary, right?
So as we mentioned earlier, right, the mastery of the deck as well as the card game knowledge itself, like, he played to win. He was not afraid to take 6 damage while he was at 7 HP, because he knew if he blocked with those elusive units, he would lose. So some really good skills there. And you know what, let's take a look at the trailer of this tournament here, because it has been so far so good. Zigzo leading with 2-1. We'll be right back after this trailer, so don't go anywhere. Alright, we are back and we see the Israel combo deck versus that Shadow Isles Harrowing archetype coming out from Zigzo then.
So what do you think about this matchup, Tirth?
I'm still unsure if this is the Israel variant of the PNZ Freljord deck, but if it is, then I think the Israel deck is slightly favored, I would say, because it does have a lot of removal tools and freeze effects to stop the aggression coming from that fearsome rally deck.
And I think Zigzow's Hecarim rally has an upper hand in this matchup. Just from my knowledge, I think Zigzaw should do well in this matchup.
Oh, we see the Hammer Dagger coming out there, so that is a different unit. We did not expect to see that, so it is a different variant of this PNZ and Freljord.
And I think there are a lot of spells to get the value out of Heimerdinger.
Indeed, so it's all gonna be about that value coming from that. And we see the Black Spear though in the hand of Zigzaw, so that is your answer to that hammer, which obviously is never gonna hit the battlefield, but it will just stay on band. So if you have that removal option available, you'll be extremely happy, and Zigzaw does have it.
And Zigzaw has 3 Hecarims right now. That's crazy.
Oh my god, like, I mean, Hecarim is good, but you don't want 3 copies in your hand, right?
No, but that's gonna help with that 10 mana harrowing, right?
Right, that is true. Like, but we see that I think the game will pretty much be decided before that as well. Like, this matchup is all about early game board control, and so far it looks like Zigzaw is doing really good on that department.
And Zigzaw is having a relentless pursuit.
Indeed, so if they're able to make, we see the Israel coming down as well. So it is that Israel and Heimer variant of the PNZ. It is still a combo control deck, but it just does not rely on only bursting down the opponent with Israel. It also has that mid-game option of using Heimer and bursting down those spells and summoning those machineries from Heimer.
And also, if you see, Pegasus has 2 thermogenic cards.
Indeed, those beams are. It is really difficult sometimes, to get sufficient value out of them, because you do, again, they cost the same as the amount of mana you have. So, for example, if you play it right now, you would be using all your mana, and you don't want to do that as well. So, it is definitely going to be interesting to see how Pegasus will use those beams.
And there's the Radiant Guardian.
Indeed, but hey, it's turn 6. I think we both know what's going to be the play from Zigzaw here.
Hecarim.
Indeed, and you know what? They might just go for Relentless Pursuit. They do have that extra floating 3 mana, right, in spell mana. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that coming down with Hecarim here.
I mean, the main game plan from Zigzaw's mind is, just rush him down as soon as possible before he can get the control of the board.
Indeed, and he does have sufficient tools to do that as well, with combined with Relentless Pursuit and the Harrowing.
And there comes the Hecarim, boys.
There comes the Hecarim number 1. We still have 2 more, and we see that the beam is exactly 6 mana here. So again, as we mentioned earlier, he's getting that exact damage needed for that beam here to kill off that Hecarim. So really good plays coming out from Pegasus as well.
And for some reason, Pegasus is going for Ezreal attack.
I mean,
he's sensing the Black Spears, right?
Yeah, and like, there is no reason to not attack with Israel, because that the opponent's deck does not run any elusive units or any removals, without a unit dying. So the Israel attack there was totally safe, and now they'll be able to cast that beam on that Hecarim as well.
And Zigzaw could definitely answer with the Black Spear. There is it.
Yep, indeed, we see that it is already flying out instantly. The feed is still catching up to it, and there is the Black Spear on Israel, and able to answer that Israel quite clean here.
Okay, Pegasus saving that Mystic Shock. Okay.
Yeah, it has fleeting, right? So
yes.
It does vanish off of the hand as the turn ends. You see the Hecarim number 2 coming down here.
So is he going to thermogenic it again?
I mean, I think that is the play, but again, Zigzaw does have that Mark of the Isles to prevent it from dying. And we see again, it's coming down instantly. Zigzaw, he knows the game plan of this deck. He has the grip of how this matchup goes. He's not taking too long to think through his plays like previously. And he probably is feeling really good in this position.
And he's going to dish out that great damage right now.
Indeed, and especially with that Harrowing in hand. And look at this hand of Zigzaw, right? He still has another threat in Hecarim and Relentless Pursuit. So he just needs one more good turn and the game will just be over. You see still 15 damage being pushed from the Zigzaw side here. So wow, that's gonna be really tough to come out from Pegasus' side.
Yes, I think Zigzaw's late game is so good right now with that Relentless Pursuit and also the Harrowing.
Indeed, we see the Radiant Guardian is in hand as well, so it will allow him to stabilize if for some reason Pegasus is able to come back from this board. But so far, looking at both hands, I think there is just limited options for that. Again, we see the Flash of Brilliance is there, which can give something crazy, that we are not expecting. But apart from that, the Hammer does come down here. That has to carry the game for Pegasus.
And Pegasus is praying for that Hammerdinger produces a great value right now.
Indeed. And what do you think about using Relentless Pursuit here? Or maybe you just want to save for that Harrowing. I think I like saving for Harrowing. What do you think?
Yeah, I think saving for Harrowing makes much more sense, where it's a safe play, right, compared to other things right now.
I mean, the thing with Relentless Pursuit is it is pushing damage this turn, and you will also be able to push damage next turn. While if you don't use it, you are not doing anything this turn, right?
Yes.
So that could be a consideration for playing it this turn.
So Pegasus is taking his turn to think.
Indeed, and we see that the transform spell is there from that Flash of Brilliance, so that's not gonna be that helpful, but it's still decent enough. We see the attack coming down from the elusive unit. No way for Zigzo to block it, but I don't think he cares about the 3 damage to his Nexus right now.
Yes, and having the 3 Hacarims I think was helpful for Zigzo. Was having 3 Hacarims helpful for Zigzo?
Oh, definitely. Like we saw the 2 beams being used on those Hacarims, but Zigzo still had that. So that's really good.
Those little 1/1/1.
Indeed, those machineries coming out from those hammer. You see another hammer.
That's
that's quite useless in this situation.
And there is the Harrowing, guys.
Yeah, that should probably be able to secure the game here. Zigzo will still have access to using that Glimpse Beyond as well on one of the units to draw even more options. But right now the case for, okay, if we see there is a bunch of freeze options available for Pegasus. We see the Harsh Winds as well as the Flash Freeze being able to just block away at least 3 units from attacking. So that's gonna be really, I think they will still allow Pegasus to survive through this Harrowing turn.
Yes, he's forced to use those frostbites and everything right now because he needs to survive one more turn or something like that, because there's no way he can die this turn.
Indeed, but I think he will be happy just doing that as well, because you are spending 9 mana, so you are getting those 2 machineries as well, which he will be able to play, so that can be the turn that Pegasus is coming back from. We see the Flash is already coming down on that Hackarim.
There's the 0.
Indeed, a bunch of Hacarims will be spawned, but again, I don't think there will be enough pressure to get through this Flash Freeze turn as well. And again, once this Harrowing resolves, I think he's actually considering just glimpsing that 2/2 first before before resolving the Harrowing, because it does give him 1 more strong minions, but it seems like he has decided to not do that, and the Harrowing should resolve soon.
And there is a Harrowing summoning the minions.
Jeez.
That's total of 3 Hackrooms on the board right now, with the two of them having ephemeral.
Indeed, and Pegasus should be able to block quite easily, although we saw that he looked visibly like stressed there, like we see he's not looking happy in the webcam there, but looking at this, I think he's just in a decent position to block everything, and going into the future turns, he should be just fine to stabilize from here.
Yes, this is forcing the Zigzo to attack right now.
Indeed, and I think the 2 Hackarims, oh my god, we totally forgot about that.
The Hackarim buff.
Indeed, that's gonna be an issue for Pegasus. But again, still, the Harsh Winds should be relatively decent here. We see a +6/+6 buff.
Dex and high. I think Pegasus is right now in a very pressured situation right now.
Indeed, so he'll just have to sacrifice all his minions basically, but again, preventing those overwhelmed units from connecting to the Nexus is extremely strong here. We see Zigzo here not looking that stressed about that Harsh Wind, so he probably expected that play.
Zigzo is very curious what's going to happen the next turn. What is the plan to end the game right now?
Pegasus just has to survive this turn, right? And after that, he will be only dealing with 1 Hackarim and 2 Wraith Callers. But even that alone is strong enough. So it's not like Pegasus has gotten out of this. But if the progress day here goes well, then he will be able to just do relatively well. We also see the 6 mana machinery is still in the hand of Pegasus. So that coming down will be able to keep him, give him some board presence as well.
Yes, I think that's gonna help him in the Heimerdinger upgrades.
The Heimer upgrade is pretty strong as well, so definitely not something to downplay here. What do you think? Do you think Zixo will play that glimpse? I think he should, right?
I think yes, he should glimpse one of the hacker, right? It's an ephemeral unit. Anyhow, it's gonna die next turn.
But instead, Zixo seems like has decided to play the Arachnid horror here.
Hmm.
Just favoring the board control over card draw here.
Okay. And also he has a fearsome, right?
Right, so Fearsome definitely prevents that hammer from blocking it.
There's a chum.
And I think the progress day is the play for Pegasus here because he does need a lot of better options than this had to win this game here.
I mean, I think Zigzag is forced to use the Relentless Pursuit right away. Is he? He has a Relentless Pursuit.
Yeah, so it can definitely come down this turn. I mean, combined with the Mark of the Isles, it can allow him to push for that surprise lethal damage here. So I will not be surprised to see that come down just after this turn resolves.
There's the card draw.
Indeed, and so much. The T-Hex coming down as well. This is gonna provide really good board pressure for, and we see there it is.
The Relentless Pursuit coming down from the Zigzag.
Yep, and it's all about gonna be, how Pegasus will be able to block from this attack as well. And we see that the Hecarim is still alive on board. It still does have Overwhelm, and that combined with that Mark of the Isles, can allow him to push enough damage.
I think Zigzag has this game unless something miracle happens.
I mean, I think it is still up in the air. The T-Hex will just be easily able to block that Hecarim. So, I mean, the game is definitely still up in the air because.
But Hecarim is gonna summon 2 of the units, right?
That is true, my friend, and that is probably game then, yeah. I mean, Pegasus needed some more freezes, but again, not having access to that, and Hecarim summoning those minions and giving them buffs. That, as you mentioned, I think Zigzag has this game.
And he also has the Mark of the Isles just to push out the extra damage and end this game right away.
Indeed, and we see the unit coming down, the machinery, the turret. I think this is just an open attack turn from Zigzag here, right?
Yes.
Because that will prevent your opponent from playing anymore. And it does also completely fill up the board as well. So that's all you want.
There you go.
The F-Metal units also have 5 attacks as well.
I think Pegasus can survive this. He has this.
Get excited.
Yes.
But like, I mean, yeah, from his perspective, you can survive. But as we see, Zigzag does have that Mark of the Isles, which will, prevent Get Excited from getting any value. Like, it will not be able to remove any unit, I think.
So the Azrael and Heimerdinger not be able to help the Pegasus to win this game.
Indeed, and it will be interesting to see what the Rummage draws here. Another Rummage and Get Excited number 2, but again, only 4 mana left. There is not much they can do. I think they're just fishing for some freeze effects here.
Yes. I think the only way he can survive this with some frostbite or some freeze effect.
Indeed, and Brittle Steel could be one of that thing, but that's the flash freeze. I don't think that is enough to keep him alive this game because he can only use it on one of the units. And then there is the Mark of the Isles for another unit, so it's, I think, just game over here, no matter how he blocks here.
Yes, that's a game for Zigzag.
Indeed, he will. Oh my god, what happened here? I think the time just ran out here, casting all those burst spells. I mean, we know it wouldn't have mattered anyways, but from the perspective of Pegasus, he will definitely be upset about that.
He was really smiling and he's taking easy of that. Well played from Pegasus, really great. I mean, he played exceptionally, the way he thought and everything. But unfortunately, he couldn't complete the series, but we have Ziggs on the top.
Indeed, those 3 Hecarims just were enough pressure, along with that harrowing, allowing Ziggs to take the win in the 4th game here. And he does win the series with a 3-1 score. We will be back again. There is going to be a couple more series as well. Let me check what the next round is. Again, these games are best of 5 as we mentioned earlier, so that is definitely interesting. And next game will be between Dawn, who is the C9 Hearthstone player. He has been playing professionally as well, against Gogon Singh, who is also, I believe, a professional player as well. So definitely a really good matchup looking forward as well.
And And also, if you're liking how these competitive matches are going on, and if you have the great skill and want to show them off, then we have a great update for you. We are coming up with a great community cup next week with a 35k of prize pool. Make sure to wait for the updates for more.
Indeed, while you guys are waiting for those updates, make sure to join our WhatsApp and Discord groups. We have an active community of Runeterra players, so you guys will feel fit right in. And so, yeah, while we take a break, make sure you guys do that. We'll be back as soon as the next series starts. Alright guys, we are back. It is the series number 3 between Dawn and Gogong Singh. We see that Dawn has Shadow Isles and Demacia, Shadow Isles and Ionia, Mono Demacia, and that Freljord and PNZ. So I'm really hoping it's that Ezreal combo deck. And opponent has Demacia and Ionia along with Nexus and Shadow Isles. So that has to be Spider's aggro if I have to guess.
Yes, that's the Spider aggro deck with the Darius and an Elise.
Indeed, and then they also have that Freljord and PNZ. So both players have Freljord and PNZ, and the Demacia variants are quite interesting. You know, Mono Demacia coming out from Dawn. What do you think about that?
I think Mono Demacia is like the minion based heavy deck where you cover really well and play the one cost minion and 2 cost and 3 cost and just make sure you buff your board and go to the face.
Indeed, we have seen some of those decks getting popular on the ladder as well, but most of them splash out something. Like we have seen that some decks are splashing out those Ionia for Wheel of Ionia, and the barrier effects as well. But this being Mono Demacia, I'm really looking forward to seeing a Mono Elites deck coming out from down here.
I mean, definitely, that's a great pickup for the tournament lineup. And that's so interesting to see. I mean, we have to wait and see what exactly that deck is.
Indeed, and we see that Gong Singh here has gone for that Spider's aggro most likely. We see that Noxus and Shadow Isles, that is one of the most popular aggressive variant. I think the first player to reach Master, Pokrovec, actually piloted that as well. So that deck has been there, in the meta since day 1, and it's still performing really solid as well.
I mean, this is going to be a close matchup for sure. I mean, it's not going to be that easy for both the players because they have kind of similar play style, where you see both of the players have PNZ Ezreal combo deck, which is going to be a exciting game for me.
Indeed, and maybe the Demacia and Ionia variant could be that elusive based deck, but we see that otherwise both these players probably are not bringing any elusive deck. So that is quite interesting as well. Again, we talked about how the Western meta and the Asian meta differs, and we see a clear insight of that here.
Yes, exactly. I'm really excited to see this, and I hope the game starts very soon because we are excited to see how this progresses.
Indeed. Again, the Dawn, he is from Cloud9. He is the former Hearthstone pro, and I think he still competes as well.
Yes.
So definitely a really good player, and against Gogong Singh here as well, who is also a really good player.
He's a Masters player.
Yeah, I think Gogong Singh is Master, but Dawn, I don't think he has reached Master yet. I believe his current rank is Platinum, which is the same as me. And hey, if I have to say that, that's not a bad rank at all.
Of course, it is not a bad rank.
Yeah, I have to say that, because I'm Platinum as well. So, yeah. The rank, it's all about grinding after some point. And unless you have a specific read on the meta in which you can take good advantage of the read, apart from that, it's all about just grinding. So, this player still being able to reach Master is definitely impressive.
So, we're just waiting for the game to start. We are going to look how both the players play out their decks really well because honestly, I'm excited to see the Ezreal combo deck because that requires a lot of skill to play.
Indeed, and it's really fun to watch that being played as well. But honestly, I think it is one of the weaker decks in this both players lineup as well. Like we see that Spider's aggro is usually really good against that Ezreal combo deck.
Do you think Spider's aggro is favored against the Ezreal combo deck?
I actually think it's quite favored because Ezreal combo deck does run a lot of removal, but the Spider's aggro deck does have option to get out of range of that removal with, especially Mark of the Isles. And if they get a really good start while the Ezreal opponent does not have any removal, then a solid turn for crowd favorite can just snowball the game into victory. So it is still even, but I would still give a slight edge towards that Spider aggro deck.
Well, the games only can provide us the proofs on which deck can really fare out well.
I think honestly it's all about gonna be that Demacia versus Ezreal combo deck matchup because Demacia units are definitely stronger, like they have more mid-range units, they have more high health units, even though they sacrifice some of the early game aggression here. So I think it's all about gonna be that matchup. If Dawn is able to get that deck through, then I think he's in a really good position, and we see hopefully the game has begun here. We see it is that Spider's aggro deck with a decisive maneuver, which is quite an interesting card that is not often seen in this variants. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's an interesting deck card. Maybe he's using that card to counter the current meta decks.
Indeed, it could definitely be that, like Hecarim is one of the prime targets for that card, and we see that it is that Shadow Isles deck, Ruination and Withering Veil. So it is definitely a more control variant of that Shadow Isles and Ionia deck.
Yes, and we are seeing the Dawn below and Gogon Singh on the top.
Indeed, Dawn playing that Shadow Isles and Demacia control deck against that Spider's aggro deck coming out from Gong Singh. And we see quite a good hand from both these players here. Solitary Monk can be dropped on turn 3 here, which will provide Dawn decent pressure going into further turns. And
I honestly don't like playing Elise on the turn 2. Maybe he could have played the Spider.
So I think it's most of the times just good to play Elise, because the open attack on Fearsome is you generate another token, so it's already 2 tokens, and then you play the House Spiders, which will summon another 2 spiders, right? So it will just level up Elise on turn 4, which is quite a good start from this Spiders aggro deck. And we see that there's so many token generations here. Double House Spiders and that 1 mana Spider will be able to get crowd favorite to a decent states here. And we see that no open attack here, which will allow Dawn to potentially defend with that Solitary Monk here. What do you think about not open attacking there?
I think Gogon Singh is just waiting for his Elise to upgrade and maybe push out for the damage.
Indeed. So in that case, I think there's just gonna be no attack coming out from that Elise player, right?
Yes.
Alright, so that's definitely an interesting line of play here, but honestly I personally would have gone for that open attack with Elise, just generating that 1 token, which is probably gonna be most of the times enough. Because again, you know that, I guess the opponent can play Grasp of the Undying, which might be what the Elise player was trying to play around, and we see that it is in hand of Dawn, so could be a good read in that case.
Yes, and if he opens the attack right now, because he can just get a value trade with the Solitary Monk.
Indeed, the Solitary Monk is able to just prevent any attack coming off from the Spider's aggro player from Gong Singh here, so he does decide to pass it down.
And Elise gets upgraded right away.
That's really good here for Gong Singh, and we see the crowd favorite behind this solid board will be able to do decent amount of work there. But again, like so much control tools in the hand of Dawn. I would at this position honestly just favor Dawn in this matchup.
Yes, I mean, as we progress into the game, he has a lot of control right now. He can just stabilize easily.
Indeed, but we see that 6/6 crowd favorite with Overwhelm coming down, and there is no clear answer to that, I mean, yeah, Dawn can just decide to save up for that Ruination, which he will be able to play on turn 7 turn 6 at the earliest, right? Because he will have that initiative on turn 6 as well.
Yes.
So that is definitely something they will consider doing, which means that they are basically forced to not spending those 3 mana, next turn.
So he just have to save the 3 mana for the using of the Ruination as early as possible.
Indeed, and we see the Grasp of Undying coming down here. Really good plays coming down, knowing that even if the opponent mark up the Isles it will still die because it will become an ephemeral unit. So really good plays coming down from Dawn. And the Vengeance drawn from Dawn will be able to get rid of that crowd favorite here.
So you can just kill it off, right?
Yeah, so exactly 7 mana as well. So that's a really good top deck from Dawn. And we see that he's really debating if he wants to use it or if he wants to save it for Ruination next turn.
I honestly wanna save the 7 mana killer unit because I expect a Hackering coming out.
I mean, yeah.
But we know he won't expect a Hackering coming out from the Spider's aggro deck.
Right, so I think it's more about just ensuring that he gets a good Ruination off, right? Like next turn Ruination will be able to do so much. So I think just playing a Frenzied Skitterer here to reduce the damage coming down and then going for the Ruination next turn is just a slightly better play in this situation, I think.
I definitely agree with you. The Skitter is the play here right away.
Yeah, because like Vengeance, yeah, you will be able to deal with that single target, but the opponent still has so many other minions that you basically have no answer to if you don't do anything. And he decides to even not play the Skitterer. That is even more interesting. So much damage coming out here, and
yes,
wow, look at this. Is that just okay? Now he's gonna use the Vengeance to kill off.
So how much damage is he gonna take? It's gonna take 8 and
yeah, that's 15 damage at least coming out. And with Mark of the Isles, if they decide to use it, that's 18. But I don't see any reason to use it just yet.
So Even though that's a heavy damage.
Yeah, 15 damage in like, and they still have to commit that vengeance as well. So that's really good start from the Spider's aggro deck. And I mean, I think friends at Skittered play last turn was just better, and now you are basically locked towards not playing your Ruination for the next couple of turns. Because even if you save 3 mana here, you will not have the initiative to play it next turn. So an open attack from your opponent can mean that you are left undefended here.
So what do you think Don should do to survive?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's kind of losing the grip on this game at this point. I think he had to play the Skitter last turn, and now the Hecarim comes down. So we see the face of Dawn here. He looks extremely disappointed from that. I think Withering Veil has to come down here, and I mean, still, I don't see a way to just survive here. And as we see here, he's just looking for the Shadow Assassins to, hope to dig into some answer. But I don't think there is any present in the deck here.
I mean, I think it's too late for any answer right away, right? Because there's no way you can stop that board.
Indeed, open attack along with that Mark of the Isles as well is just gonna be enough for the Gong Singh to take the game on here.
So that's it for the game, and I think Gogon Singh easily takes the game with the Spider aggro deck.
Indeed, and I personally think Don had to keep the Ruination play in mind. Playing the Skitterer would have just allowed him to take less damage. I think it basically reduced the same amount of damage as the Vengeance play while saving the mana. So I think that was the play there. But unfortunately, he decides to go for a different line, and we see that the game is pretty much over this turn.
So what can he do to survive? I don't think so.
Yeah, there is basically only one spell he can cast, and no matter the permutation of defense he goes through, there is just no way to survive here. We see the -7 HP coming down, and even if he somehow blocks it, right, there is Mark of the Isles, and he just decides to let everything go face. Give your opponent the satisfaction, to see those attacks going through. Really good sportsmanship from Don.
Yeah, Gogon Singh with the lead in the series 1-0.
Indeed, and as we mentioned, that Spider's aggro deck able to perform really well in this meta. Like we see that the meta is less control oriented. It's more about mid-range minions on the board, and Spider's aggro is just able to make really good use of the spells present in the deck to get an advantage in the early game.
And the surprising package was seeing a Hecarim in the Spider's aggro.
Yeah, so Hecarim is not usually present. Like we usually see Darius as the option, but some players sometimes alternate between Darius and Hecarim. Some variants also play 2 copies of either Darius or Hecarim and 1 copy of the other champion.
Mm-hmm.
So it is definitely interesting to see those variants coming down, and Hecarim there, as we show, really performing well in this whole tournament.
Do you think Hecarim deserves a nerf pretty soon?
Right, so I mean, I was expecting it to be hit with that nerf bet, even in the last patch, but it got through, and this time I definitely think it will receive some nerf. I think just getting its health down to 5 could be good enough, or maybe, reducing the stats of the ephemeral units it summons. But apart from that, I mean, Hecarim thematically, it's really good flavor, so I would love to see just a slight nerf to it, and hopefully it will still be present in the meta going ahead.
If you guys know, if you guys have any theory of how good they can nerf the Hecarim, please let us know in the chat, because we want to know your answers. And also, I think the perfect nerf would be the nerfing the ephemeral units to 2/2.
Yeah, so that's definitely could be a play, But again, I mean, the strength of Hecarim is about that overwhelm and the 2 bodies that it provides. I mean, yeah, it is good to remove those 2 extra damage coming out from it, but I think it will still be strong. So I would really love to see that play.
Okay. So we are waiting for the game 2 right now, and Gogon Singh is in the lead.
Indeed, and we saw that Shadow Isles and Ionia deck was really control heavy there. I mean, it should be, if Dawn is playing that, if the Gong Singh is playing that Israel combo variant, then there could be some trouble for that deck to get a win in that. In which case, it will have to win against that other deck from Gong Singh, and we see the second game starting here.
And we see the second game starting here right away. So we see a Shen Barrier deck from Gogon Singh.
Indeed, and this is the deck that the Shadow Isles Ionia variant will have to take a win against, because I think against Ezreal deck it is just extremely unfavored. But then again, it has a bunch of healing as well, right? So who knows what might happen. We see a really good, a really bad hand from that Shadow Isles deck. He has to throw away everything, and even does not get any minions off the mulligan phase yet. So
Dawn in a very unlucky situation right now.
Meanwhile, on the Gong Gong Singh side, we see a really decent hand, not a good turn one play, but from starting from turn two, he will be able to pump out those minions.
I think this is going to be this game is going to be a long game.
Indeed, but again, there is Fiora, right? If the opponent is able to keep that Fiora secure from the removal options from Dawn, then Fiora will be able to just solo this game here. We see that Dina is also present in the hand as well, so that combined with the back-to-back might be able to keep Fiora alive long enough to just get the win here. He's debating whether he wants to play the 2 mana 3/2 just without its effect. And I think I would. What do you think?
I think I would definitely do that because I just want to get the board tempo going, right? I just put some pressure on the opponent to play something right away.
Indeed, but instead he decides to just draw a card in this situation. And I think I'm okay with that as well. You know, you're forcing, again, like Fiora just is extremely strong here. And it also does have that barrier from the card casted earlier. So that is definitely a good turn here. No answer present in Dawn's hand here so far.
I honestly think Fiora can single-handedly carry this game for the Gogon Singh if the Dawn doesn't have an answer.
Indeed, and we see a Vengeance is a potential play here. Don't really debating it. I mean, if the Vengeance gets countered by Deny, then you are so far behind. So he does decide to just take it slow and just play that Shadow Assassin to draw a card.
Yeah, I think I really like with the Dawn, just skipping that Vengeance or killing a unit. I mean, you just have to wait, right? You don't have to rush anything. We are in a great spot.
Indeed, and ideally you want to use your cheap spells or your burst spells to get rid of that Fiora, but I mean, we see a really good position for that Fiora kill next turn. Like, if it challenges any of the 2/2s, he's able to mark up the Isle Seat first, right?
Yes.
And then also, if it gets barrier, then you are able to use Wild Fish to get rid of that barrier. So that is a really good sequence.
And Gogon Singh not denying to just block the elusive unit with his elusive unit. Do you think he has a plan with that?
I mean, considering he has back-to-back in hand, right, it is extremely important to keep those 2 minions alive so you can get the most value out of that. And I think that is the plan behind keeping it alive. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it matters either way. I think he just feels confident, just taking that 2 damage in this early game.
So there is the barrier for the Fiora, and let's see what Don is going to think about this. What do you think of the play here? I think they just passed, right?
Yeah, and that's what he decides to do here. And wow, another pass coming out from the Fiora player. So that is really interesting. He's just trying to get a board as much as he can. But again, like the potential of, I think he's just baiting his opponent and using something like Ruination,
Yeah, I think that's the play here from both the players. They're just waiting for the right moment to use everything.
Indeed, and it's all about gonna be that deny, like you want to use your Ruination, you want to use your Vengeance with those deny to ensure that it goes through. And I think that's all gonna be about the deny usage in this game. So both,
if you observe, Gogon Singh is denying to block the elusive unit with his elusive unit.
Oh my god, and the Bannerman coming down but not getting the Allegiance buff there. We see that Gong Singh is visibly upset here.
That's really unlucky for Gogon Singh. I mean, if he could have got the upgrades, right, I think that's a great play. But anyway, Don has definitely an answer for them.
Yeah, I mean, but again, it would have taken his Fiora out of the range of all those removal options. Like we saw Grasp of Undying and already in hand, which is a really good answer to that Fiora. And we see it is being casted here. So let's see what Gong Singh decides to do here. Again, just giving it barrier is definitely an option, but I don't think you're not just commit your deny on this play here.
Yes, I think I honestly would save my deny for the Ruination or the Vengeance unit.
Yeah, definitely. You wanna use your barriers against those damage dealing spells and save that deny for those removal spells. So really good plays from both the players here. I think the grasp there was required there. Yeah, just to try to force the opponent to have an answer to that. So really good plays from both the players, and another Bannerman coming down.
And there you go. There's upgrades for your elite.
Did and finally does hit, unlike last time. So getting it out of most removals range here will allow him to secure that deny.
So honestly, deny is the answer.
I mean, yeah, this is just a snap deny play here.
Instant deny, please. And
there it is.
And we can see that Don reaction. He's just smiling.
Indeed, he expected that, but again, that was, I think, his only play. Gong Gong Sik piloted this very well. He forced his opponent to play deny, ruination before turn 10, where they can combine it with their own deny. So that's a really good place coming out. Mark of the Isle will be able to get rid of Fiora, but so much damage being pushed through here.
I think that's very important for Gogan Singh to push that damage and get his opponent to the 5 health.
Indeed, we see a lot of removal option in the hand of Dawn, but this hand is just so clunky. There is no clean answer to the board state that is presented by Gong Gong Singh.
And honestly, after watching these few games, and I think Fire and Shen deck is really good. And I think the player who piloted is Super JJ.
Yeah, Super JJ definitely popularized the Shen variant of Fiora, mid-range decks, I would say. So yeah, definitely a really good deck in this meta as well. And we see that such good board presence here coming out from the deck. And there's just no, removal option available. And I think that's probably just gonna be game. We see the Radiant Guardian being played without its effect. That's how far Gong Gong Singh feels he is in the game.
There's no reason to prolong this game, right? Saving it doesn't make any sense right now. He just want to end this game and tie the game 1-1.
It will be 2-0 actually, right? Because
I'm sorry, it's 2-0.
Right, so an open attack coming down here should be able to just secure this win. He seems to be thinking how he wants to position everything, but I think as long as you just drag everything to the board, you should be fine here.
So, is there any answer from Non?
We see a clunky hand here with no AoE removal, right? So that's probably just game here. At least 2 minutes are connecting, right? And
yes.
Not even 2, right? There is only 2 blockers. So even if you use your removal spells to get rid of something, which is probably not even possible because we see Deny is in the hand of Gong Gong Singh as well.
Exactly. I think that Deny is the MVP of this game right now. He just saved in the whole game, right? The Runeterra could have ended the game there, but the Deny coming in the MVP position there.
Indeed, Deny is the answer, that this deck requires. Like, I would even keep Deny off the mulligan even, against control decks, because once they are able to clear the board, there is just very limited options for you to come back from the game. And we see he's actually surviving with 1 health.
So
we see the Deny in the hand that will be able to secure that one of the minions survives and pushes the damage through. Even back-to-back can be used here, and both can be used as well. So this is just way overkill here.
So Gogan Singh with the confidence plays there.
Indeed, the back-to-back being used to secure the win here, and -9 damage. That's a lot of damage here. And Don we see is not looking in a happy state here. He's definitely feeling the pressure coming from Gong Gong Singh.
And Gogan Singh with just 1 game away from the winning this series.
Indeed, this might be the first White Wolves we see. Last couple of series, other players were able to get at least 1 win, but Dawn is in some relative trouble here. And we see that Gong Gong Singh only has that Freljord and PNZ deck, probably the Israel combo deck. So which matchup do you think Dawn will go for to fight against that?
I honestly if I'm Dawn, right, I would go with the Shadow Eyes and Ionia.
Yeah, that deck definitely has a lot of healing to counteract the burst damage coming out from it. But again, if there is a Heimer present in that PNZ deck, then that could be another twist into the game and provide another difficulty for Dawn. I personally think the Mono Demacia might be able to do decent as well against that deck, because it does have a lot of mid-range minions that pretty much always get out of that removal range of 1, 2 or 3 damage. So I think that is a decent choice as well, but we'll see what Dawn goes for here. Alright, we'll take a short break of around 1 minute until the game starts, so stay tuned, we'll be right back. Alright, and we see it's a Karma variant of the Shadow Isles and Ionia deck actually, and we have been seeing that deck since the start. Dawn has decided to stick with that deck even after losing 2 games. Like Do you think that's something psychological, or do you think he just thinks that this is the best deck against him?
I mean, there could be two reasons there. One is definitely psychologically. It could definitely hurts, right? Losing 2 games in a row. He's in a pressure point to win the game to make sure he stays in the game. And I see that he's keeping the deny. That's a good thing. He read that from the last game, and we see I think it's a classic Ezreal Elnok combo.
Yeah, we see the progress day coming down as well. But again, it could be Hammer can always be splashed. We see Israel coming down there, so it is definitely that combo variant. We also saw the Elnux there, so it is that troop of Elnux variant. And I honestly love that variant as well. It's will be interesting, and just a 3-1 being dropped here. Again, knowing that the opponent only has Wildfish to deal with this, he will be able to push that early damage. And I think in an Israel focused deck, it is also quite important, especially considering that your opponent does not play early game minions.
So I heard that you played a lot of Ezreal control deck. So how do you think this game plays? Because I really want to learn this deck.
Right, so Israel combo deck is all about just drawing cards, you have Troop of Elnuk as well, so you can just play it on turn 5, and it basically acts as a deck thinner, so you want to summon as many Elnuks as possible. Sometimes it just wins on turn 5 if it gets really good Elnuks, but other times it just relies on upgrading your Israel, and we see the beam being used here to deny that minion.
So I see I think Gongon Singh wants to end this game as soon as possible, denying the early creeps of the lifesteal.
I mean, yeah, so the thing is, like, the opponent's deck, the Karma control deck, does not play as many minions, right? So I think you just want to make use of that beam whenever you can. Beam is not that strong of a card personally, because again, it does require the exact mana commitment to get the most value out of it. So it definitely makes sense to just use it on that 2/2 lifesteal minion.
And the Hand of Dawn is really unfortunate. I mean, what can he do? Much.
I mean, yeah, Dawn, he does have that Karma that he can just, Hail Mary and throw down on board and hope it survives to give enough value. But we see Get Excited is already in the hand of Gong Singh here, so that's not an answer to this game. And we see the Troop of Elnug will probably definitely come down on turn 5. That's one of your prime plays. It is unfortunate that there is no turn 4 play for Gong Singh, but he will be really happy playing the Troop. Oh my god!
Oh my god, that's a game, I think so. I mean, there is no answer for this for sure.
I mean, look at the faces of both the players, right? I think this just tells the story. One guy who's summoned, look at this board state, right? Like 15 damage summoning from 5 mana on turn 5. And he's really happy. He's sipping on his water here.
I think he's going to go for the attack, even though he has Frenzy Skitter. I mean, he should attack.
I mean, you definitely attack with the 3/5s, right? But he even decides to attack with everything. He does not care if these minions dies, Like, even putting the damage on these opponent's followers is fine for him.
And as you said earlier, the game could end by turn 5.
Indeed, and that's the reason you play Troop of Elnug. Sometimes it just wins on its own. Even if it doesn't, like, the deck is not hurt by it that much. So a really good innovation going into the meta here. The Troop of Elnug, definitely an MVP in this game so far.
So what decks can counter this Ezreal control?
I mean, honestly, if you get 3 Elnuks from the Troop of Elnug, pretty much no one can counter it. But this deck is quite weak to something like Prankster Burn or like super aggressive decks. As I mentioned earlier, even the Mono Elites also does really well versus this deck. But again, from a good start such as the one we are seeing right now, this deck is able to win against almost anything.
Do you deny this? No, right?
There is no way you deny this. You want to save your deny to ensure the Karma lives, right?
So what do you see the play from?
We see Israel being dropped here. Usually people don't want to send out their Israels, until it is upgraded, but we see it is being played here. I think it's mostly to empty the hand for those progress days. And Get Excited can be cast here. I think I'll probably throw away one of the progress days. You don't need that much value.
Exactly. I think I just want to kill the Karma right away.
Indeed, but we see that both players do decide to pass up here. So a progress day could come down here.
Okay, there's a Rekindler to get the Karma again.
Indeed, but what if you just don't kill it? Like right now you're just presenting lethal on board. Like, how do you counter that?
I think that's a lethal, right? I mean, he can recall a unit and he can use the will. No.
Yeah, he has to do that, right? He has to block with Karma. He has to recall one of the 4/5s.
And he's gonna heal, right? He's gonna heal again. He's gonna Wild Fist this one, and he's gonna heal one.
I mean, Wildfish is interesting, but I definitely do prefer I guess Wildfish is definitely preventing more damage. So, yeah, he does go for that. And I think the Wheel of Ionia also has to come down. But right now he's just saving for the deny. You know, in case opponent does anything crazy, he will be able to deny. But I don't think the Israel combo deck runs any of the buffs or deny.
Okay,
So
he's gonna recall it.
recalling here totally makes sense. He already has 5 damage, right? And with those Mystic Shots and Get Excited in hand, he will be able to just burn down his opponent.
I think that's a great play from Gogan Singh.
Indeed, and we see the Mystic Shot being cast here. He will have to deny one of those. So, but even then, I think the Israel player, the combo player, is just in such a good position to win the game from here.
So, is there any chance Don can come back in this game?
I mean, he just has to hope. You know, I mean, of course, I know both the cards in hand of both the players, right? So from looking at that, I don't think he has any chance to come back. But again, he might think that he has some chance because that deny coming out, he has the grass if he stabilizes from next turn. But again, as we see another, and the faces of the players again, just quite expressive here. We see Don is just smiling, but behind that smile, that is a GG emote. And we see he knows he is done for. A lot of damage gonna be coming down here, and that is just gonna be the game over here.
And as you said, Tirth, the game ended by turn 6.
Indeed, it's all about the troop of Elnuk, you know, able to summon so many of those Elnuks. And that's gonna be the game. Our first whitewash here coming out from Gong Gong Singh, able to defeat Dawn 3-0. Dawn on that Shadow Wars and Ionia deck, just not able to get the win there.
Yes, exactly. I mean, Don was really unlucky with the draws also. He was just, his draws were really clunky. I mean, he has no answer to anything. And he has a lot of resources, but he doesn't have a board at any of the game.
Indeed, but still, I think even though it was a 3-0, I think both players played really well. And that is the end of the third series. We have one more series to go. So we will be right back. Till then, make sure you guys check out our WhatsApp and Discord groups where we talk about all things Runeterra. And we also have a community cup coming down this weekend with a prize pool of 35,000. So make sure you guys stay tuned for more information on that. Until then, we'll see you guys soon as the fourth series begins. And we are back. We have the matchup between Dione versus Icarus. Again, Dione, from Cloud9, teammate of Dawn, who both of them are also Hearthstone professional players as well.
And they're from the C9 organization.
And we see this prankster. I mean, definitely not prankster, but we see the Jinx burn here, and it is the Jinx Draven variant that we saw earlier, because we can identify that based on Draven's fan there. And there it is. We see the both perspective now. We have the Demacia opponent, Demacia Ionia, probably the Fiora barrier deck that we have seen so far.
But I never saw the three mana card in the Fiora and Shen deck.
Yeah, the lore end is definitely a unique choice here. So it could just have cut some of those shenanigans, I would say.
Yeah.
It could be more minion focused as well, and have the Demacia for mostly. I mean, have Ionia for Deny and Wheel of Ionia. So.
But the question is, can that deck survive the burn from the Zings?
Indeed, I mean, so far it is looking really good. Again, if it runs that Radiant Guardian, the 5-drop that gives lifesteal as well, then yeah, if that is able to come online, then Demacia deck will be able to survive quite easily.
So the burn deck player is actually looking to not to block actually.
Yeah, I mean, there is no reason to block here, Dione just decides to not block there. And we see really good starting position here from both the players.
And if you see, okay, there comes the Draven.
And that is the Draven again. That Draven's fan, just makes the Draven your next card essentially. So drawing there is really good. And considering it is the attack turn, they will be able to play it and just pressure the Demacia deck here.
So I don't see any of the Shen here, but I wish we could roll our mouse to see what champions they have. But I think it's different variant of the Shen and Fiora barrier deck.
Yeah, it definitely could be. And I mean, honestly, it doesn't really. So far, we see the Bright Shield Protector, right? And that kind of does say that it has some synergy for that barrier. And again, I mean, since there is Fiora, there is definitely gonna be some barrier effects in the deck. But we don't know if Shen is in the deck yet. But so far, I think it's pretty relevant because the aggression coming out from Dione is just probably way too much right now. But again, they will be able to make some positive trades here. But
Icarus thinking what to do right here. What do you think the play here is, Tirth?
I mean, honestly, I just prefer dropping down the lower end protect. It does not do much, but it can value trade against most of this. And next turn, you can probably challenge. As we see, it is dropping down, and as I mentioned, we can challenge the Draven next turn with it as well.
DD Hyoni going for the all-in damage, and there's going to be they're definitely going to be a block for that.
Indeed, I mean, the deck is usually has to do this. You can't afford to not push any damage. Even if auto attacking with everything results in pushing even 2 damage, and that is a win for this deck. Again, as we mentioned earlier, it is the full-on aggressive list here. We might see the 0 mana buff coming down here, and we do see that. So being able to get rid of that get excited and getting rid of the worship as well, it's gonna be really good for the Dione.
Yes, I see. Yeah, I think the burn deck usually wants to discard as much as possible, right? So it's going according to the plan for the Dione.
Indeed, and another discard folder is in the hand now. Jinx will definitely come down next turn, but it will be interesting to see what card they draw here. And oh my god, the Augmented Experimenter here.
Okay, that's a heavy draw. And the only thing right now the Icarus is lacking is the spells.
Indeed, I mean, honestly, so far he's just gotten a start that is extremely similar to Mono Demacia, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And this kind of makes me think it is the Fiora based variant only. I don't think there is any Shen there. I think it's just for those Deny and Wheel of Ionia.
Okay, I think there comes the Fiora. I think will he go for the attack?
I mean, yeah, you definitely have to, right? I think just getting rid of the Draven is extremely strong here. But we see that Dione is just keeping that 4 mana, right? He wants to play Jinx after the opponent attacks to ensure that it survives the turn. So really good sequencing from Dione.
Okay, there is the challenge for the Draven. Can Draven survive the challenge? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, again, we see the cards in hand, and there's just nothing that will allow the Draven to survive this turn. I mean, Fiora will die as well, so that is at least some compensation for Dione. But overall, I think the Icarus will be happy with this trade here.
And I really want to see if he plays the Jinx on next turn.
I mean, honestly, like you have to play Jinx this turn, right? I think he will. That's why he's saving those 4 mana here. So I think the Jinx will come down this turn, and yep, there it is. He just wanted to ensure it does not die from challenges. So really good sequencing from Dione again.
Okay, he's just thinking if he used to. Okay, he's gonna pass this turn. Cause there's the 3 damage.
So he is able to clear his full board. I mean, clear his hand here this turn. But I think there is some merit in keeping the augmented experimenter. Right?
Exactly. That's the key play right here, at this moment, because you can't just throw away everything and hope to win, right? You just have to wait for the right moment.
Indeed, I mean, yeah, the Jinx will provide you another card if you empty your hand this turn, but the guaranteed 3 card draw from that experimenter along with the 3 damage, I think that's just way too important to discard here. We see that is quite interesting. So augmented experimenter is being targeted for the deny, and now he is reconsidering that.
So he's just taking his time.
Oh, we see he's hovering over that again. That is quite interesting. I'm personally okay, so just giving that Jinx some more juice there, just one more attack there. And now, again, as we see here, he's definitely looking to get rid of his hand.
Okay.
Evolving Jinx here.
He's just going all in right now.
Yeah, but again, like as I mentioned, if this Jinx gets cleared next turn with some challenges, then there could be some issue for Dione here.
So yeah, he's just praying for that his Jinx gets away with anything right now.
Indeed, and I mean, we see that this deck probably often does not run any like protective spells, right? It does not have access to barriers or anything, so it just has to rely on ensuring that the opponent does not have it. And we see that Redeemer is online, which will probably be played this turn.
Okay, he's not going for the Redeemer.
I mean his next turn is clear, right? He will have to repost and just challenge that Jinx to ensure, hope that it dies. Bright Shield Protector being dropped first, I still think the Redeemer will come down here. I don't see any reason to keep it.
Yes. I think he should play the Redeemer just to get the card draw.
Actually, he can also go for the Laurent here, ensuring that another challenger option is available in case it is required. But both options are still fine, but I would honestly just love seeing the Redeemer here. I don't think he's in a really bad position to ensure that he will need another challenger.
Do you think Dione went for the greedy play?
Yeah, it's still again tough to identify what these players are thinking because they do not have access to opponents' cards. But looking at the cards in hand now for Icarus, I think it's gonna be the turn up a wrong decision, for Dione. The 3 damage would have been extremely strong, and you had a decent play. Like you were able to use Get Excited and just discard one of your 0-cost spells, right? Which would have still left you enough. You would have still enough juice going into the next turns. So right now he's just relying on Jinx drawing him something really good, and also those rockets. He really needs to get those rockets online.
So how many rockets is he gonna get? But at least by next turn.
Yeah. So if Jinx, I don't think is gonna survive through the next turn. So I'm probably expecting even 0 rockets, to be honest.
He passed. He refused to attack actually.
That is quite interesting as well. He was probably scared of I don't know what, because there was no mana to cast repost there, right? So that is quite interesting that he decided to pass there.
I think Dione is really in a bad disadvantage at this moment with no right cards at the moment.
Indeed, but that 1 mana card actually will allow him to discard the another 1 mana Jury Rig, right? So that is a really good couple of draws from Jinx there, and I think that might be enough to keep Dione alive going into the future turns. I would have really loved to see an open attack here though.
And the only way the Dione can win this game with the rockets.
Indeed, it's all about gonna with those rockets, but we see the different challenges available along with repost. They will be able to clear off that Jinx, and now they will not have access to any more of those rockets unless they top deck another one.
Yes, exactly. So let's see what's gonna be the play here.
They just challenging both the cards here, and it's definitely gonna be the repost on the Laurent Protein here, allowing it to take the value trade with Jinx. And there it is. So
the repost coming into play.
Indeed, quite straightforward here, but again, there is just no counterplay to that. Again, the rocket is a slow spell, so it can't be casted during the battle turn. So this must resolve, and there is nothing that Dione can do to keep the Jinx alive. And with that dying, it can be trouble now if they don't get another Jinx.
There you go, the rocket coming into the play.
Indeed, that will be 4 damage to the face, but
But that's not gonna help him, right?
I mean, if it will, if we get some more juice, right? I think another Jinx will just guarantee that win from just burst damage alone. But now this does give some time to Icarus to come back on the board here.
Yes, Icarus is trying to establish about, and there is a Shen we are talking about.
Indeed, so it is that Fiora and Shen variant popularized by Super JJ. And again, I think that deck is just performing really well this whole tournament.
Yes,
right?
I see this deck is performing really. I mean, I don't know about the ladder because I personally haven't played it, but I see it's doing pretty well in this meta tournament, for at least for the KR scene.
Indeed, and we see that if it is Conquest, you can just bring good decks and ensure that the good decks will beat out some of the slightly weak decks from the opponent. So again, in that situation, the Fiora barrier deck is definitely good. I think bringing mid-range decks is a really good, consideration, like strategical decision from these players, and it is definitely paying off in this tournament.
And honestly, after the recent patch, I'm really enjoying this game with a lot of variety of decks.
Indeed, and the patch is, they are being constantly pushed out by Riot team. So really good feedback being listened here from the development team. So that's always good to see here. And we see that the Bannerman comes down and does proc again. So even furthering the board lead for Icarus here. And as the turns go by, this is looking extremely difficult for Dione to come back from.
I think Icarus has this game right now, unless the Dione gets a miracle Jinx out of nowhere.
Indeed, I mean there is only 7 damage, so if let's say he gets a Jinx and then get excited, then yeah, maybe the game will be over by then. But so much pressure will be coming down next turn from Icarus here. Again, that they will be at 8 mana, they will be able to play both Shen and that Bannerman to buff up everything. So that's gonna be interesting. We see another card draw here, and that's not quite helpful here. But again, it will still serve as a jump blocker if needed.
Yes, exactly. And Icarus building a very stable board right now, and is looking to close the game within like 2 turns.
Indeed, and the 2 mana card drawn that is not Jinx, and I think that was the only out that Dione had. From now, I think he just does not have enough time to push for lethal damage, even if he gets perfect draws from his decks. So I think at this point, the Demacia and Ionia variant will be able to secure the win quite easily.
And do you think you really want to play this deck, the Shen and Fire deck? Are you interested to play on your ladder?
Oh, definitely. Like, this is the kind of deck I enjoy. Like Demacia is definitely my favorite region so far. Like, I just love the theme of it. And considering the deck is a really good mid-range deck, and it seems to have a lot of combat tricks as well, with all the barriers and the single combat present. So I think it's a deck that is right up my sleeves. I'm definitely gonna craft this deck as we end the stream and start playing again.
Oh, definitely. I can't wait to play again.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this tournament. Like, so many new decks being shown here, and that too being played by this master is just really amazing.
So we see a possible lethal right now.
Indeed, but obviously, like, Dione does have those jump blockers, they'll be able to defend. But I mean, they're just delaying the inevitable.
Yeah,
right?
you're just denying by 1 turn. That's it. Because I don't see you can really stand anymore.
Yeah, indeed, and we see the opponent is going down to 5 HP, but there is no single card that deals exactly 5 damage, right?
Yes.
Unless you get something like, now I'm thinking and I still coming up with nothing, so I think that's just no way for this aggro deck to win at this point.
Yes, I think Icarus takes this game easily.
Indeed, the Dione is still alive at 1 HP, so...
And also, we have to make sure Icarus is at 5 health.
Indeed, and Get Excited comes down, that is 3 damage, but still 2 off, and that is enough for the Icarus to win this game going into the next turn. I will not be surprised to see even a concede coming down, but again, you rather see the draw next turn, right?
Yes, exactly. So unfortunately, Icarus leaves by 2 health.
Indeed, so definitely a really close game, but again, once the Demacia deck gets on board, there's just no stopping it. And we saw that in the previous series as well. Like, even the control deck like the Shadow Isles and Ionia, it was not able to contest against these buffed minions, and that's the power of this deck. Once it gets going, there is no coming back from the game.
Honestly, I really want to try this deck at my ladder because I see a lot of potential with this deck, and critics to Super GG coming up with such a great idea.
Indeed, and we have also been seeing non-Shen variants performing well as well, so the strength is definitely the Demacia.
There is a surrender.
I think that's the first surrender we are seeing here.
Yes.
Like other opponents were respectful enough to let the opponent get the KO there, but Dione is gonna deny that pleasure from Icarus.
So that's it for the game one, guys. We see that Icarus taking the lead in a very close game because he just lived with 2 health.
Indeed, and we see these players' decks now. Icarus still has that Shadow Isles and PNZ deck, and that is a deck that is quite popular actually. It is I think the most common variant that I've seen is a control-based variant in which they make use of the different removal spells available in both the decks, and often it has a win condition that involves Thresh or Israel. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that unique combination of regions coming out from Icarus.
And what do you think about this Ionia and Fragilor deck?
The Ionia and Freljord deck, I think that has to be the Zigzago's elusive variant, right? Like we've seen it performing really well on ladder and in this tournament. So I will not be surprised if that's the deck. And another deck from Dione is that Shadow Eyes and Demacia, which is probably either the fearsome rally deck or the Ephemeral mid-range deck, right?
Yes, lots of exciting games coming up soon, very soon.
Yep, and we will be going live again with the second game. But until then, we are going on a short break. It will be like 30 seconds or so. But so don't go there. We'll be right here in 30 seconds. And the game is here. We see the Skidrar coming down. We see the Elise and Hekrim here. So it is definitely that fearsome
package.
Yeah, fearsome package along with those relentless pursuit we'll be seeing.
And they are the frenzy executors and also with the Mistwraith.
Indeed, and the opponent is playing, it looks like Prankster Burn here. So yeah, that is not the control deck we expected. It is just the Prankster Burn, recently popularized by Swimstream, who managed to get rank 1 rank 1 master with this deck. So it is definitely interesting to see. I think this is the first time we are seeing it this tournament.
Yes, this is the first time, and that deck was popularized a lot by a lot of players because it was a rank 1 deck, right? Of course, it should be popular.
Indeed, and I played some games of it, and it's so fun, just trying to figure out how to get the most damage out of your cards, and that Prankster able to burst for so much going into the mid game. It's really a fun deck to play and watch, so it's definitely gonna be interesting. We see quite a clear defend here coming out from that 3-2, the Arachnid Horror.
Yes, I think I would just go with the 3-2 blocking the Elise, right? Because there's no way you can let the Elise leave and get the buff.
Yeah, for sure. And the attack coming down from the Icarus is definitely interesting. He was like, yeah, I'm okay with this trade, and that's really interesting to see here. Skitterer is gonna come down here, which can be countered by the opponent Skitterer. And the player that plays the second Skitterer always comes down on top.
Yes, and there's going to be another Skitterer by Icarus.
Which does put the first Skitterer in 2 power range, which can be defended quite easily by the opponent's 3 health Skitterer. So again, not gonna be anything there.
There's a relentless pursuit, and
Indeed,
there's
so it is a matchup between like fearsome rally deck versus that Prankster Burn, and I think in that matchup the Relentless Pursuit can quite easily win, because once you get the board,
it's easy.
Yeah, Relentless Pursuit will be able to push so much damage.
So I see Icarus is taking his time to think what to play, and the only way the Icarus can win is get the board himself ahead of him.
Indeed, and currently we see the Arachnid Horror is pretty much the only option, but again the Prankster could come down in this turn, and they can start just chipping away at the opponent's Nexus health, but I would really love to see the Arachnid Horror coming down instead.
I think that's the only play, right?
Yeah, you don't wanna like just have a low tempo play such as that Prankster,
Yes.
It's a
There's a Mistwraith summon.
There's the Mistwraith, so really good tempo swing here for Dione, and so far, like looking at the hands, I will definitely favor Dione's position in this game.
Yes, I think Dione is having a good game this game because of seeing his cards and the way he can play.
Indeed, and let's see what Icarus can do to counter that. There is not much that Icarus can do in this position. Again, he's just thinking to Mystic Shot the Mist Wraith, but I mean, yeah, that's a play you can do, but I wouldn't be happy just doing this, you know?
Yes, I think that's a questionable play. Don't you think?
I mean, again, like, he knows there will be more Mist Wraiths, but apart from that, there is no other target for Mystic Shot. So I think just making use of the mana present here is just fine. And it will allow him to push for some damage here, but again, he does pass because there is no good trades available in this board state. And we'll probably see another Mistcaller coming down here.
So what is the play? I think I'll just go for the Skitter just to push the damage.
Skitter into Relentless Pursuit can be a really good play, you know, because it will prevent your opponent from blocking as much. So yeah, and he does go for that. So that's at least 14 damage if your opponent does not do anything.
So that's a good turn for Dione.
Indeed, but again, I don't even think we still want to commit that Relentless Pursuit. I think it will get more value going into the
later game
later game stages. So I think it's fine to save that as well. What do you think about using those Glimpse Beyond right now? I think
that's a great value using the Glimpse right away on your 0-1.
Yeah, and you can even play Prankster first if you are brave enough. But like knowing the opponents, there it is. There's the Prankster. And again, it's all about playing to win. You know, you can't be scared of your opponent's board set. You have to go towards your win condition as well. Yeah. So really good heads up play coming out from Icarus as well.
And Icarus going all in with this.
Yeah, indeed. And this pressure coming up from Dione is really strong here. There is no good blockage even because, again, fearsome units, you know.
And also, if you observe rightly, even if he blocks right, he's just going to clear the Icarus board.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, fearsome units, he literally cannot even block.
Yes.
Unless he uses Mark of the Isles or something. So, really good turns coming out here. And again, like, this is just a clear... What is that actually? Crawling Sensation. That is some more chump blockers for the deck.
But I don't think is it worth it using the Pursuit right now?
Honestly, I'm really liking the Pursuit here. It will still push 7 damage. It will still clear at least one of the spider links. So you're still ahead on the board. And yep, as we see, the Relentless Pursuit is being cast here. So definitely a good double combo here. Again, Skitter, you know, affecting this and that's the whole reason behind playing this deck, you know.
A lot of decks, even if they don't play the spiders, right, they play the Skitter just for one of the main reasons.
Yeah, like Skitter is just an insane card, you know, like even without any synergy, it's just totally insane.
Yes, exactly.
And we see the Pursuit coming down here, which will allow Dione to push even 7 more damage here. Then there is nothing that Icarus can do to counteract that. He cannot even block them.
I'm still questioning why is he holding on to the Glimpse right now.
Yeah, I think we might see the Glimpse Beyond coming down here, and indeed that seems like the option that Icarus has gone for. I think he will really need something good to get out of this situation here.
So there's that. So he's gonna push some 7 damage to the face right now.
Wow, Salesman coming down here is able to push so much damage, but I mean, there is not enough space for both the cask to spawn.
Yes, exactly. That's the reason. I mean, he could have used the Glimpse early, probably.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, like, even then, it would have been still the same position, essentially, because, like, he had to play the Crawling Sensation first, right, to get those Glimpse Beyond targets on the board.
So what is the play you see here right now?
I mean, honestly, I'm just looking towards that Hapless Apricot and just going face, I think. But maybe there is some more merit into just glimpsing the spider first and then dropping the Salesman.
And also we have to think there's a third Skitter in the hands of Dione.
Indeed, and that's gonna be so much trouble. We see the Icarus is already down to 6 health. So the Salesman coming down will put him to 4 health only. And that's not a good position to be in. So the Salesman is actually, for the first time, I think, like... a downside to, you know, include in the deck here.
Yes, exactly. That is, I think we say right. I think this is going to be a weird position for Icarus right now.
Oh my god, look at this. Glimpse Beyond getting denied essentially by that Wild Fist. You know, the target dying will ensure that
there's no card draw.
Will not trigger. There will be no card draw. And that's gonna be again. But you can counter their own wild fish with your wild fish, which will ensure that the minion will survive. But
that's too much of resources, right?
yeah, exactly. And look at this board shed. So many fearsome units, so many strong board, so many strong states on the board, and that is gonna be extremely difficult. And Dion is still at 17 health. Like no matter how many cards your Icarus can play, but it seems like there's just nothing that he can do.
I mean, he can heal till 8, but I think Diony has a very great upper advantage right now.
Indeed, the Skitterer coming down next turn, will prevent any of these minions from blocking, which will just result in lethal again, because those minions will be able to push damage. Even if he's able to block with only one unit, I think it will be 7 damage then. So Icarus, oh my god, look at this. Is that a cat on Diony's camp there?
Yes, I see a cat on Diony's camp.
That cat is not afraid of spiders, it seems like.
Okay, there is a skitter.
And it does come down, prevents any of these minions from blocking. So now the salesman has to come down if Icarus has to survive here. And even if it does, I just don't see a way for him to win from here.
So I think that puts a... Okay, there's that. He's going... He just needs to go all in right now.
Yeah, this is, again, all the positive traits for Diony.
Yeah, and that's a game for Diony right there.
I mean, he can still survive, right? Icarus can survive if he blocks that 4 damage. So only 6-7 damage will be pushed through. So there is still some breathing for Icarus, but...
Okay, he's going to stop maximum damage possible. That's good, actually.
Indeed, but I'm not gonna be surprised to see the Glimpse Beyond coming down on that spider here.
So what do you think can Icarus do to survive in this game?
Honestly, I still don't see a way for him to get out of this, but Prankster, I don't know, maybe Double Prankster could do something. He definitely still needs to summon some 3 power followers, so he can defend those fearsome units. But
there's the Mark of the Isles and the Elise coming out.
Indeed, unfortunately, cannot just cast it yet because again the battle phase has begun already. So we see 14 health, still at a relatively healthy state, and opponent at only 1 HP with so much resources in your hand, so many good states on the board. I think you are just winning this game right next turn.
Yes, exactly. That's what I see. I see it could be a 1-1 series right now.
Icarus still thinking hard, but I mean, yeah, you can just drop that Hapless Apricot. It's not gonna matter much, but again, it will allow you to just block something. There's just not enough pressure coming down from that Prankster burn deck here. So like in this matchup, usually I think the Spiders variant is definitely favored. The Skitterer alone is able to get so much value, especially by buffing those spiders as well.
And also the frenzy skitters are so good. I mean, they could regularly change the game pace.
Yeah, indeed. And it's all about playing the Skitterer last. The player that plays the Skitterer as a reactive card is definitely ahead because it also affects opponent Skitterer, right? And that's what Diony was able to force from the opponent. He forced him to play that Skitterer first, to ensure that not enough damage is getting through. But the counter Skitterers were able to just snowball this into this board shed. And we see a D10 coming out. That's a card that I haven't seen in this variant.
Exactly. I mean, I have to say the current meta runs around the D10 and the Will of Ionia. People tend to play those cards just to get the control of the game.
Definitely. Like it's basically just used to remove one of the blockers from defending. And we see the Augmented Experimenter coming down. Gonna be able to deal with Elise, but honestly, I think it would have been fine to just take out Skitterer as well, even.
Yes, exactly.
In the end, I think it doesn't matter. Like 1 damage, they just need 1 damage, so it's not like he's at 3 HP or anything.
So how do you think he's gonna push this 1 damage?
Yeah, I mean it's all about those fearsome units, right? You'll have to use those fearsome. You have to detain one of the 3 attack minions.
Exactly. The only way you can win. Okay.
Oh my god, there is a Skitterer.
Okay, that is
so
a
even if you like detain one of them, the second Skitterer will be able to allow him to survive.
Yes. And Icarus trying hard to survive in this game.
And we counted him out long ago,
yes.
But he is able to find this place here. So really good plays coming out from both these players.
That's the beauty of this game, guys. If you haven't tried this game, you can just download it right away. It's a free to play, and we promise you're gonna have lots of fun.
Indeed, the game is recently released. I mean, in open beta as well, and it is really really free to play as well, which is why it is gaining so much popularity in the card game genre. And we see the attack coming down here. Again, obviously not gonna attack with the prankster there. That's a lot of pressure and damage here. So
I honestly think Icarus is still in this game.
the attack from the fearsome, I mean the 3 attack units is so interesting because now you don't have a way to defend against those skitterers going into the next turn.
Yeah, what is he thinking?
I mean, I guess he's relying on that skitterer to give him those blockers, but I don't see a way to do that as well. So definitely interesting to see this attack coming out.
And there's the prankster dealing the damage.
That's a bunch of damage going through, but still at 9 HP, Dione is feeling relatively confident here. Alright, we probably will see the Elise come down here. There is no reason to not play that, and there it is.
Yes, and there's other Dione Helis.
Indeed. So 4 units versus 4 units.
I think I just go face right now.
Yeah, I mean, you have 3 fearsome units and the relentless pursuit,
Yes.
so you just lose at this point. And again, as we mentioned earlier, attacking with those 3 power units
Dexter.
last turn from Icarus, that felt a bit sketchy.
Yes, there's the surrender. Guys, so the series has been tied 1-1.
Indeed, and we see Dione was able to take that win quite comfortably. Icarus tried his best, but I think attacking with those 3 power units was maybe a misplay, or maybe I'm missing something. But yeah, regardless, it was definitely a close and intense game. We will be back with another game soon. Both players are tied 1-1. It will be interesting to see who takes it. We'll be right back. Alright, we are back. The game has already begun. We see the double Omen Hawks coming out from that Freljord, and Noxus deck. Again, that's a really good, mid-range variant coming out. We see that the wolves are also there. And all right, we'll be back soon. You see the attack coming down from Icewell Archer here being blocked by the 2/2 Omen
So
Hawk.
I see an Ash and Elnick in the same deck for Ione. What kind of deck is that?
That is interesting. We expected this to be the elusive variant,
Yes, exactly. That's what. This is what I love about this game. There are a lot of decks to brew and play them.
Indeed, the variety coming out from these players is definitely interesting. We see that the Will of Ionia here is there. So I think it's just a solid Freljord variant with just a splash of Will of Ionia and deny probably.
Yes, and I see a great. I think both the players are at the like a medium level.
Yeah, this decks definitely look like mid. Look at that 2-drop there. Already 5/4 here.
That's interesting. How did he get that to 5? Or maybe the Omen Hawks.
Yeah, we saw the 2 copies of Omen Hawk being played, and that's gonna be able to buff up that unit quite easily.
So viewers, if you have an Omen Hawk on turn 1, you never reject it. Just play the Omen Hawks and get that buffs units as soon as possible.
Indeed, I mean, we've seen Freljord being so successful, and I think one of the reason is that Omen Hawk. Being able to buff your 2 units for 1 mana is just really good.
And we see the wolves with the challenger. Will they be helpful? I think if you see both the players are running them.
Yeah, so I mean, this turn it is at least preventing the Ash from coming down, but next turn it's definitely gonna be that Ash, and combined with the quick attack support unit there, the wolf will be able to keep making those trades here. So that is definitely a really good choice here, and I think the wolf from opponent will get changed, but instead it is the Elnak that is. I think he's not gonna go with that attack for sure.
I mean,
right?
that's really weird play, right? Why would you attack the Elna?
Oh, okay. So I see he wants to flash freeze it so it dies. Right? That's what the wolf does. It kills any unit that has 0.
Oh, that's interesting. Thank you for that.
Yeah, so I didn't catch that in the first look as well, but really good sport there from Icarus. So he will be able to get rid of that high value defender there. But again, he does have to commit that flash freeze, but knowing that this is all about the mid-range units, he's able to make the trade quite easily.
And that kills the Elnuk.
Indeed.
And Icarus right in a great spot right now.
Indeed, but next turn I'm expecting the Ash to come down here, which, oh my god, there is a Karma in the deck as well. What is this?
What a surprising.
So what is the win condition of this deck? Now I'm totally confused. Maybe
I never seen this deck in actually.
I mean, yeah, it would make sense if there was, let's say, like Tryndamere or Anivia, right? But there is an Ash in this deck, so maybe the Ash is just used to survive through the mid game. Just freeze everything, survive through the mid game till Karma comes online. Definitely an interesting take on this variant.
I think I would just play the Ash here.
Yeah, Ash and just challenging the opponent's challenger, the 3/2 unit, the wolf.
But if you look at the Icarus hand, it's very powerful.
Wow, look at this. Challenging the 5/1 instead is really interesting.
And you also have the Will of Ionia, right?
I mean, yeah, but still, I definitely want to get rid of this challenger. It is contesting your Ash and Karma, right? With that 3 power. So getting rid of that is definitely a lot more impactful.
And there is a 6/6.
And that's extremely troubling. Now, again, you don't want to recall that because it, again, buffs as well, right? So it looks like he's just going to drop Karma, hope for some good spells coming out of her,
Yeah, there's a play for RNG.
Indeed, and that's Yeti Summoner, not going to be that good.
The Tailsman or something.
Yeah, and we see another, I think the Hearthguard will come down here, just providing a really good mid-range board state there.
Yes, I think that's the only player I see here, right?
Yeah, he can go for the Wolf to, challenge the Karma down. But knowing that both opponents have been holding quite a lot of minions and units or the cards in hand, I think it's quite risky to go for the Wolf here.
So what do you say the play should be for the Icarus right now?
Yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards that Hearthguard instead of the Wolf. I mean, it has a downside that it will not allow you to flash freeze anything. And because of that, it seems like Icarus is going for that Wolf.
So I think Wolf is the only player here I see, but then he has the Icenvale Archer.
Indeed, and that is gonna be able to counter that Wolf quite easily. Maybe you can even target I guess Archer on that challenger is the play for sure.
Yes, I think I would instant Archer that if he attacks.
Yeah, and I think it also gives you the liberty to play Ashe after that, because there will be no challenger coming down this turn.
Yes, and he's. I think Leone is just making sure to make sure his Ash survives.
Indeed, and he just passes. That is so interesting.
He can use the Archer right now, right?
And he can't use it, right? Only burst spells and fast spells can be used now since it is the battle phase. I think he will be using the harsh winds now, but yeah, he will have to commit 6 mana for that.
Yes, I think he's going for the harsh winds.
Again, it does block the most amount of damage, but I mean, I'm not sure how good this play is. Like, now the opponent is able to, flash freeze your 4-3 to just keep it alive, but maybe they won't even do it, or even the brittle still is an option, but even just passing here is fine. But I would love to see the brittle still come down here on Karma.
And luckily the Karma survives this turn.
Indeed, it is extremely important for that Karma to survive, and he will be able to keep it alive at least, but not getting the trades here is just gonna again delaying the inevitable, I think.
Okay, he's just making sure his wolf survives. That's a good thing, because that wolf is a great counter to the action.
Yeah, oh my god, look at that Winter's Breath here being given by Karma. That is
and
really
there's
good.
the deny.
There is the deny, but again, Flash Freeze is, I believe, a burst spell, so currently there is nothing that that deny can be used upon.
Yes.
And now the Archer is being hovered over. Again, I think last turn the Archer into Ashe play was just slightly better, I think.
Yes, I honestly agree. And in that way, you get your Ash on the board and also pressures your opponent.
Indeed, and getting Ashe on board here is extremely important there.
And there is the Archer play.
So what do you think about playing Ashe this turn? Do you think that is a consideration?
No, I don't want to play the Ash until I see the 3-2 of Wolf die.
Right, and I mean, you do have Will of Ionia, to get rid of it if they do challenge it next turn. It's just that I really want to get the Ashe down, and I think this is the best position you can be to play that.
Yes, there is a Wolf of Adeoni.
Indeed, so he's looking to target that 0-6 Hearthguard, to just get rid of it.
Yes.
Really good place, but again, Flash Freeze can come down here.
I think is he going to save the Flash Freeze for something else?
I honestly think we just always play it this turn.
Yes, I think your 6-6 is really valuable.
Yeah, it's a really good minion, you don't want to just give it away for free. So that day is the Flash Freeze.
And no attacks going on.
So both players just using those free spells to stall out the game here.
So
the healing potion growing here is quite interesting and useless honestly at this point. But again, it can be useful going into the later turns. We are 2 turns away from enlightenment on that Karma, so it's all about surviving till then.
I think enlightenment on server Karma can turn the events for the Deoni. I mean, he would instantly go for the value plays and everything and make sure he survives to the end.
Indeed, and Winter's Breath here is gonna provide so much impact on the board here, able to freeze everything. It's just insane. But again, it is extremely strong with the Karma actually, so he's considering just saving it for Karma once it gets enlightened.
Yes, I think I would just use it, right? Because there's a possible of so much of damage coming.
Yeah, I think I like playing that as well. I don't think you can afford to wait till that because your opponent might just go through and just win from there.
Yes, I would just use it, and we also have Ashe ready.
Yeah, Ashe is leveled up now, but again, the turns have passed. I would have, as I mentioned, I would have loved to see that being played a couple of turns earlier.
So, yeah, I think playing that LD would be the much better play, but not right now.
Yeah, and we see the Winter Spread does come down and it will prevent everyone from attacking. So, really good freeze plays coming out. And oh my god, Avalanche. But unfortunately, the minions are quite heavy.
Yeah. And there is the Ashe coming.
Finally, the Ashe has decided to drop on board.
And it is upgraded.
Indeed, and we see that there is only 1 turn till Karma is upgraded, but even then I don't see how he'll be able to make use of that Karma.
I mean, he's just making sure to survive till the turn 10 and enlighten.
Oh my god, that card! Look at this, drawing 4 cards just off of 1 card. I think that just spells game over. Honestly, I mean, yeah, Karma is still alive, but there is no way for you to get rid of that Wolf Challenger next turn unless you have to commit that
that's
Will of Iron.
That's quite a heavy board for Ixer right now.
Indeed. And what do you think about this challenge here? I guess he knows that it will be frozen with the Ash's unique ability. So he obviously wants to take it down this turn. But again, Flash Freeze can come down and it will be the same situation. No attack will go off if Icarus decides to play the Harsh Winds.
And both the games are going very slow. I mean, both the players are just taking their time and make sure they don't do any of the misplays.
Indeed, we have seen like freezes being used almost every turn from like last 4 turns. So really interesting to see how this matchup is going so far. And we saw that the opponent is only playing Ash as their finisher. So it is a mid-range heavy deck, it does not run any of those late
There is
game.
a challenge, the Wolf blocking the Ash.
Indeed. So, but again, like he will be able to Wheel of Ionia if required. But I definitely like seeing this block coming down here.
Okay, that's a great play from Exa. He is making sure to play the 5/5 because if he Will of Ionia, right, he's gonna get a great value again.
Indeed, it's a really good read here. Playing around that Wheel of Ionia by blocking with the Hearthguard is really amazing, as you mentioned here. So he will be able to get good value even if the opponent has the best play through this.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, he's going greedy. He wants even more cards, and he forces.
That's pretty greedy play.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it does work out, right? Like,
yes, exactly.
there is no reason to not do that essentially. Like, more cards, yeah, who can say no to that? Alright, and it seems like Dione just has to pass here, and honestly this turn might just be the end of the game for Dione. I mean, yeah, Karma will be enlightened next turn, so it's all about gonna be that Karma. But so far it does not look like there is anything good going for Dione in this game.
So what do you think he can pull out to win this game, Dione?
Right, so honestly, okay, he does pass here, and oh my god. So look at this board state already. I mean, he will need a bunch of miracle coming from that Karma there, and he might have just enough, like even with the Avalanche itself, like that's 4 damage to everything, right? So maybe that is enough to keep him alive, but again, it will also kill off his board, so that is not ideal.
Does it kill his Karma too?
Yeah, it does, so that's the issue.
I don't think it's value then, because the only win condition I see from the Dione is the Karma.
Yeah, and I mean, if the opponent's whole board was dying, then yeah, maybe he had to do it at one point, but the opponent's board is outside of the range of double Avalanche as well, so there's just nothing that Dione can do, and we can see it from his webcam as well. His facial expressions, he's really thinking hard, trying to find a line of play that gets him towards that winning line, and it seems like he's trouble finding it just like us.
So he's gonna use the Will of Ionia on the 5/5. I mean, he has no option, right? What can he?
Right, so this is basically him saying that I'm hoping that you don't have any more minions off the top of your deck, right? Like,
yes.
These decks do run a lot of freeze effects, so he's just relying on the opponent drawing a lot of freeze effects.
Okay, what is that spell actually?
Yeah, I think that's the card that gives +3 health to 2 minions, so I mean 2 units, so could be helpful in this situation, but the freezes coming down are the real challenge here. Crystallero is really good though.
And yes, I think you just force the attack right here, right away.
Yeah, for sure, and that's what Icarus is looking to do.
And he's sharing the Karma. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's the whole goal of Icarus is now to get rid of that Karma, but it looks like there is still some options left in the toolkit of Dione here.
And he also has the deny.
Indeed, and he can also just cast Entreat, to just draw a couple of more champions here, which can give him more Karma or Ashes. So that might be the play here, and yep, indeed it is. Double Entreats being cast.
And there's
here.
the second Karma, third Karma. Wow.
Indeed, and the buff here there, it's gonna be extremely helpful. But again, we do see the freeze effects in the hand of Icarus. So Karma. There is an attempt at keeping it alive, but the Harshwind will just be able to deny that.
Dione is trying hard to stay alive in this game.
Indeed, this is a back and forth game. This is I think the first long game that we have basically.
Yes, exactly.
And he's just gonna throw down those health potions because hey, why not? He needs cards. He needs to get rid of cards in his hand so he can get more cards.
There you go. There's a lot of spells coming out.
And the buff card again, it's good, but it's not gonna be enough because Karma will still die. And Harsh Winds will be able to get rid of Karma and the Wolf from the opponent. So
I think Dione should have saved some mana for the deny, don't you think?
I mean, he can't deny the Harsh Winds anyways, right? Like most of the freeze effects right now will be those burst effects. So there's just no point in keeping deny for those freeze effects. And yep, as we see here, they do go through, and the frozen minions will be dying regardless of the health they have.
And he's down to 8. Dione is trying very hard to stay in this game and win the game.
Indeed, it's gonna be extremely tough. We see he's hovering over his own deck, just blaming the draw of the cards there. It's looking really tough even now, especially with the Hearthguard and the draw effect available here.
And there's the Elven Archer.
Look at that Icewell Archer. It's already 5-3 as well, and that's the draw effect. All the cards, literally all.
And Ixer Gex's Ashes out.
Oh my god, 2 ashes, and look at this board state, right? Like
It's heavily buffed Tirth.
Indeed, but again, Karma is that maybe it will still pull off a miracle, but I honestly don't see it at this point.
So what do you think is the play right now for Dione here?
I mean, it's all about just playing that Karma and hoping that you, I guess, get a good spell going into the next turn. But as I mentioned earlier, I think there is just none, and Icarus will probably be able to get this win from here.
So Dione is trying to make a way to survive this game as hard as possible, and Icarus is trying to get the lead over the series.
I mean, so far it looks like if the open attack comes up next turn, there is just nothing that Dione can do to defend it. So he will have to make some plays this turn to ensure that that does not happen.
And I see a lot of freezes and spells in this game. That's pretty heavy.
Yeah, I mean, both players playing a Freljord heavy tech with Ashe only, So that does mean that they are all focused around freezing everything in their path. And we see another Crystal Arrow coming down here, and one more from that Karma. It will be able to do decent here. Again, Dione had to do something to ensure they don't die from the open attack next
So
turn.
how much damage is he going to take if he attacks?
I mean, it's all about letting the spells resolve, and I don't think he can do anything to prevent the spells from resolving, which will mean that he won't be able to push any damage. But I mean, the current attack token is on Dione's side, right? So he can push a maximum of 8 damage, but obviously the Icarus do have some blockers for that, and the freeze effects to go along with it.
There's going to be I think Dione is going to make sure he stays alive in this game.
Indeed, and look at those animations, man. I love the animation of freeze effects in this game.
I mean, the developers have done great job with this, the animation and the champions.
Indeed, and we see that the board is still favoring Icarus even after the freeze effect has gone down. So there's just nothing that can be done at this point.
And you see the 3 denies lying over there.
Indeed, as we mentioned, the Freljord variants play all the burst and fast spells. Most of the freeze effects are burst spells. So there's just little use of deny, but I think it's all about gonna be that prankster deck. If Icarus takes this win, which we might probably, that prankster deck will have to win against this deck most likely to have a solid chance at winning.
I think prankster have a chance of winning against this deck because this deck is too slow. And it'll take so long to go alive, right?
Indeed, but again, if Icarus gets, if Dione gets a really good start, then it can be troublesome because this deck can overwhelm you in the early game as well with those freeze effects.
So, it's just trying to, make space on his board.
Yeah, and blocking with the least important unit here, the Icewell Archer here, definitely makes sense. It also, as you mentioned, does make a space on the board there.
And I think this is the Ashe play, honestly, because Ashe is upgraded and 7-5 is a good body right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think that has to be an Ashe play there. Your opponent cannot react to whatever you do this turn, so Ashe coming down here definitely makes sense.
I love this animation.
Yeah, look at this. Again, as we mentioned, the devs have done amazing job. I mean, it's not the devs, it's a whole team of Riot. But yeah, the animations and the polish, the feel of the game, definitely really good.
So Dione is being relentless, and we can see from the reaction of the camera.
Yeah, and that sentry top deck, you don't want to see that card going into the late game.
So what's the play gonna be here for Dione?
I mean, I think it's just game, honestly. There's just nothing that... there's a bunch of cards in Dione's hand, but none of them are able to...
Stop the...
Yeah, stop the threat here from Icarus.
And he has a challengers too.
Yeah, so you can easily take away those units that could potentially block, and we see the Ash will be there to freeze another minion as well. So again, as we mentioned earlier, there's just little that um, Dione can do here. Remember that the frozen minions cannot block, so he could have decided to let the challengers attack as well.
Yes, exactly. But I don't see a reason. I just want to kill them, right?
Right, yeah, and even if like your opponent is somehow able to get rid of the board here, at least you would have killed those important units as well. So this looks like game over here. He's still deciding what he wants to do. Decides to keep the archer alive. I think
And
I
the
like
time
this
is running
play.
out too.
Yeah, I mean it's not about. I mean, even if he commits this attack at this point, he will still be happy, right?
Okay, I see the time is running out. Dione, make sure you play.
And there it is, the Ash freezing the 0-8. He cannot block now, and there's just nothing that Dione can do at this point, as he's browsing through all his cards, but again none of them are able to pull the magic trick here.
I mean, there are a lot of unused spells, right?
Yeah, and decides to draw a card here from that, and is just digging for something,
And there is the burn.
even discards, yeah, burns the brittle steel. So we see his face is pretty lost, just like the game. He's still trying to get some more spells out of it. Only one spell will be there, and it is that Iceborne Legacy, which will not do anything here.
I
And
think
trick
that-
being played, he's just drawing cards from his deck,
And
just
there's the burn, and there's the Kranthi, and there's the win for the Dexter.
from Icarus indeed, and we see that he's leading the score now 2-1. Only one deck left, and that is the Prankster
Prankster
Burn.
Burn.
So it will be interesting to see how the Prankster Burn performs against the remaining two decks from Dione. For the potentially final game of the series, we'll be taking a short break and see you guys by then. And we are back. Potentially the last game of the series. We have the Prankster Burn, and it looks like it's going against that Jinx and Draymond Burn deck.
Yes, that's kind of like a basic deck the game we play, right?
Yeah, and we see a really good mulligan from
Exactly.
the Prankster deck, right? One drop into a two drop and a Skitterer, which is probably one of the best three drops, especially in the aggro mirror matchup. So really good starting hand coming out from Icarus here.
We saw Skitter how good it is in the like previous games, right?
Indeed, Skitter is just extremely strong here, but really good play, turn one play from Dione as well. Able to summon two minions here, really good. And Hapless Apricot is the reaction from the Prankster deck.
So what do you think? Who gonna win this game?
I honestly, at this point, I'm definitely gonna favor the Prankster deck because I'm a huge, again, as we mentioned, like the Skitterer. I think it's all about that Skitterer. Unless, I mean, Skitterer access is not possible for Dione because he's not playing Shadow Isles.
And both the players are having good draws actually, good 2 drops and into the 3 drops.
Indeed, but again, as I mentioned, I think 3 drop is where Dione is falling behind here. We see that there is no clear 3 drop here, so he has decided to go for the 2 drop and probably gonna go for a 2+1 into the turn 3.
So both the players having the same card.
Indeed, so quite a similar board position here as we see, 1-1 and a 1-3 for both
And there's the Dragon play, there's the 3 drop for the Dione.
Yep, indeed. Top decking at turn 3 just as expected, and that will allow him to take good position of the board.
So that's gonna be putting a pressure on the Ixer right now.
Indeed, and the Skitterer coming down kind of challenges the Draven, but again they do have that discard effect to buff it up, the 0 mana spell. So it will be interesting again as we see a bit of a trouble issue as we see the expressions of Dione here. He would have loved to not see that Skitterer, but it does come down and gives him some challenges.
Do you think the Skitter also deserves a nerf in the upcoming patches?
I would not be surprised to see it go down to 2 power. I think that's sufficient nerf for it, but the effect of it is just way too strong as well still, right?
Yes, exactly. I think that's like a key card in most of the decks to counter the aggro.
Indeed, and it also buffs your spiders, which is what makes it even more scarier.
So Ixer having a lot of spell, like 3 spells and 2 minions on his hand right now. And do you think he can glimpse his 1/1?
Definitely a potential here, but I think you wanna glimpse it when it is dying naturally. You don't wanna glimpse it when you are not in the combat phase, I think. So I would not be surprised to just see the Arachnoid Horror come down first.
Okay, that's the play.
Indeed, and 2 fearsome units does force Draven to block if he wants to block. So that's really good, but again, just dropping that 3 power unit on the board will allow him to still contest those spiders from the opponent.
Yes, that's a great play from both the players.
Indeed, and unfortunately, we see that there is not much fuel. I think now he will basically definitely have to use Glimpse Beyond this turn. So I will not be surprised to see an attack from all these minions still. Again, he also does have access to that Mystic Shot, which might allow him to clear off those Draven if he decides to go for that value trade against a 1-3.
I think if I am Dione, I would not even dare to block it with my Raven.
Yeah, I think you are just happy. Oh, never mind.
Okay, there's the block.
And that is quite interesting. He does not have any way to keep it alive if the Mystic Shot is targeted towards it.
Yes, and the Mystic Shot will be clearing the Raven, and that could give the advantage to Ixer.
Indeed, but again, that does mean that he will not be able to play the Glimpse Beyond, which means that he will have an even weaker turn, going into the next turns. So that is also not as bad as you think, but again, Draven dying there would be definitely disappointing for Dione.
So yes, that gives a chance for the Mystic Shot for Ixer.
Indeed, and we see that Rummage is an option now, but instead he has decided to go for the 2-1 there.
A lot of one drops for the Dione in this deck.
Yeah, indeed. Again, it is an aggressive oriented deck, so it does make sense to have those many 1 drops. Again, I think Mystic Shot is a must play here.
I mean,
wow.
What is it doing?
Okay, that's interesting.
Why?
I guess he will. Okay, it does make sense kind of when you think about it, because he can always Mystic Shot it next turn, right?
And there's the thing.
Indeed, so Jinx is quite interesting here. You will probably play it this turn and then probably the Experimenter next turn. We saw how last time, not playing that Experimenter, and instead of it, they decided to discard it, right?
Yeah, and that could cost them the game.
Yeah, so it will be interesting to see how they value this Experimenter this game.
And also he has 2 Mystic Shots and 2 Glimpses right now. That's okay, but I don't like having 2 Glimpses in my hand.
Yeah, I think you will have to use one on that Apricot this turn for sure. You are probably, what are you hoping for, when you glimpse it? I think you are looking for some solid mid-range minions, right? Maybe even Prankster, yeah.
Even Champion.
Yeah, Elise would be really good as well.
I think not having Elise in the starting hand really hurts for the Ixer.
Yeah, definitely. Like Elise is really strong in an aggressive matchup, especially in this because like most of the units are not 3 attack. So it is unfortunate that there is no Elise right now. We see Mystic Shot will definitely come down in this turn, and some really good value trades coming out from the side of Icarus.
Yes, again, Icarus using that Mystic Shot.
Yeah, that is definitely the play here, and I think it is being committed right now.
Yes, I see that. Delaying the animation.
Indeed, he's still thinking about it, but probably just exhausting all the options, potential options that the opponent can have. But yep, as the time runs out, he will decide to cast it.
I think yeah, that's a play right to kill the fearsome unit.
Indeed, just get the value from the dying Draven while you can. Also keeping your 1-3 alive, which will be able to push out 2 more damage every turn. So definitely a good use of Whirling Death. But the thing is, this prevents you from playing Jinx this turn.
Yes.
And I would have loved to see Jinx being played this turn, because next time you just go for the Experimenter and get your hand empty, right?
Yes, I think that would be a beautiful play there.
But instead he has decided to clear up the 3-2. I think he is giving more importance towards having board control. Again, if you lose board control against an aggressive deck, it will be extremely difficult to come back. So it does make sense to use this Whirling Death here.
And there is the second Mystic Shot.
Indeed, we see the importance of board control here. Icarus willing to commit that second Mystic Shot to ensure that the 3-2 survives here. Definitely interesting play here.
And Leone is using his resources right away.
Indeed, buffing that 1-3 to 2-3 will allow him to clear off the 3-2 still. So an extra resource being committed, but one that was quite disposable in this situation.
And we can see how players are really greedy about the board, how they are trying to stabilize a great board to win this game.
Indeed, again, it's all about that board control. In an aggressive mirror matchup, you just need the board to win. You don't need any other resources most of the times.
Yes, and that's quite a bit of a damage taken by Icarus.
Indeed, and I think this turn that has to be a Glimpse Beyond.
Of
That's
course.
literally the only card you can cast. So
Yes, and he needs a hand refill, right?
indeed, 2 copies of Glimpse Beyond in hand might allow him to maybe try to outvalue the Jinx deck. But so far, it looks like the Jinx deck is definitely in favor.
Yes, and I think you just passed right now.
Yeah, there's just nothing you want to do this turn. I think next turn you'll probably be playing Jinx and just hoping for something good.
That's a good draw, actually.
One thing I would like to note that he can go Jinx and then Rummage next turn, right? To just discard his hand. So
Okay, this can put a board pressure right now.
double Caskman, the Salesman in the hand of Icarus, that's 4 damage. And if you see a Prankster top deck, that can be a lot of damage coming from that Prankster burn deck.
Leone thinking very hard how to handle these cards.
Indeed, and playing one Salesman will allow him to defend, jump block against any of the attackers here. So it definitely makes sense to play it.
And there's the second Raven.
Okay, really good cards coming out from there. We see the Draven into the 3 mana spell will be able to empty the hand here. So maybe Leone is still in the game here. Again, it's definitely still close. We see the attack coming out here, obviously.
Forcing him to the block, right?
Indeed, even though he has really good value blocks here, he's still threatening another Mystic Shot. I would not be surprised to see the Glimpse Beyond on the 0-1, right? Like the casks. I think it is a safe play, but again, they don't have mana for that.
So what do you think about this right now? The only way, how can the Icarus win this game?
Yeah, I think Icarus will have to rely on the top decking that Prankster. Like Prankster combined with that Salesman, combined with the Glimpse Beyond might just give him enough reach to finish off this game. But I think from this point onwards, the board control will be in favor of Leone.
Okay, that's 6 damage for looking at the Oracle's eye.
Alright, there's the blocks coming out again.
There's the value blocks and value trades.
The 3-2 still does survive, so the board position is not as bad as we expected. Like he had the option to discard one of the cards to get rid of that 3-1, but at this point I think he's just comfortable not doing that.
Both the players going on the... Okay, there's the second Raven too.
Yeah, second turn will be able to give him the copy of Whirling Death. Instead he just decides to discard everything here. That is definitely interesting. So he's going for the Jinx burn plan at this point,
Yes, he's trying to get that, the rocket
Yeah, indeed. Rockets combined with that 3 additional draws from that experimenter. I think that Dion definitely thinks that it will be enough to finish off this game, and that is probably will be the case. Actually, what happens if you glimpse beyond the 3-1? Does the experimenter still discard?
No.
That could be a play then if that's the case here, and we see that he is overing over that situation.
Yes, that's the play.
All right, see him still considering here. It might be using the obelisk eye, to see if that's actually how the interaction works. And we see it is being casted, and the spell will probably fizzle. But instead, it does discard here. So I guess
Excellent.
it just doesn't deal damage, but the rest of the effects still go on. That is definitely interesting.
Okay, Dion is in the upper hand in this game, and he's looking to close the game as soon as possible.
Oh my god, look at this hand right now. There is just enough damage almost. If he's able to play that 1 mana card, it will be able to push 1 more damage, and Icarus will have to defend against that 6-3, so he does play that self-spend so he can get those jump blockers.
And we see. Do you think he's gonna force an attack with the Jinx right away, or do you think he's gonna wait?
I think he will definitely just open attack here. Wow, opponent does have get excited here, so that will allow him to get rid of Jinx, which again just turns the tide of the battle again.
Yes, actually, the game is going back and forth, and if you're not watching this game, you're missing out lots of action.
Indeed, quite a back and forth, intense action. Even if it is an aggro mirror, like last time we saw a control mirror that was back and forth. This time it's the aggro mirror, and it is still quite an intense game. And
I think both the players are going to take a chunk of damage in the next few turns.
Indeed, and there is just no way to keep that Jinx alive. But you just let it die. And look at Dion's expression there. He's like, oh my god, why is it dying?
Okay, I think the game is back to the basic. Both the players have great advantage right now. 7 and 8 at the health of the Nexus.
It's all about that. Oh my god.
Okay. Dion is relieved very much seeing that Jinx.
That Jinx top deck will allow him to get so much out of this. He can also use Get Excited on the face, and that will allow him to get another rocket here. So really good top deck from Dion there.
Do you think that Jinx could help him to close the game?
So here's the thing, if he had saved that experimenter, he had a chance to get rid of Jinx before he can upgrade. So that's quite interesting that they instead decide to get rid of that 4-3.
There's the 3 damage to the...
Get Excited coming down here. So Jinx, when played, I don't think it will give him the rocket, because again, the hand is already empty. So I don't think they will be getting anything out of that, but it's just important to develop it on the board. We see another experimenter and an Elise, and the 1-2 coming down there. So quite a really solid board there. Options that
and there is the Jinx.
There
is a rocket.
There is the rocket here, so it does connect now, and it will be interesting to see what Icarus decides to play here. If he's looking for more damage, he can always play the 1-4. Or if he's looking for board state, I think he can play the Elise.
I think the damage is the more useful right now.
Yeah, I think you have to go for the damage plan. Elise is not gonna connect anyways, so that's very little merit into playing that. But again, it does put Jinx in the position of experimenter, but that it is the 1-4. As we mentioned, the damage is the important part here. Rocket connects 4 damage directly towards the face.
So what can Ixar do to survive this and get back into this game?
Honestly, with the Jinx top deck that we saw last turn, I think there is very little that Icarus can do.
I think I really like how Ixar forcing it to attack, just to make your opponent think that I have some spells.
Yeah, well, as we speak about that, he decides to not attack maybe. Honestly, I think at this point, Icarus knows that he has lost this matchup, So I think he's just preparing for the next match probably. And because only thing that is required for Dion is that rocket. And as long as he's able to cast the spells given next turn, he will be able to do that. Now, I would like to mention that there is Get Excited or Ramesh, right? Cards that require other cards to discard. Such spells he will not be able to play. So if he top decks those, then there is still a chance for Icarus to come back from this game.
So let's wait and see what's going to happen next turn.
Indeed, we see the attack is being probably passed on here from Icarus here, and I mean there is little marriage to that, and oh, never mind. Again, I forgot that Jinx does draw 2 cards, and that will allow him to get the rocket. Um, okay, he's just deciding to play every spell, not even.
There's
needing
the
to
other
discard.
rocket.
That is the rocket. Once the attack goes through, it will be casted. Oh, he just decides to not attack. That is extremely good, and just gonna commit that rocket, and that will be a win for Deoni.
And that's the series side. We are going for the game 5, boys. And if you're not watching, you're missing out on a great action of LOR games.
Yeah, it will be that prankster burn deck coming out from Icarus versus that Ash mid-range, Ionia variant. So from Dawn, of course, and it will be interesting to see how this goes. Both these players playing extremely well. It will be going to the first final game, the first game 5 of this whole day, and I'm quite excited for it. Hope you guys are as well. We'll be right back with game 5. Stay tuned.
We are back once again for the final game of the day. It's the Didi Hyoni versus Ixer. The prankster burn of Ixer versus the Ash mid-range deck of Didi Hyoni.
Indeed, and we see a lot of good tools here, especially that healing potion. We saw it was quite useless last time we saw it, but in this matchup it is gonna be extremely useful.
And I really like the starting hand from the
my
the
God.
Ixer right now.
Indeed, and look at this starting hand from Dione. There is literally nothing useful that you can play till turn 4.
Yes, exactly. I think this is gonna be.
Yeah, it is definitely gonna be a really good start from Icarus, and we see already like so much damage gonna be pushed here, and he's making use of those spell effects instead of the power on the minion to push damage, because again the Ash deck obviously does run a lot of freeze effects, but it cannot counter the spell effects.
Yes, and I don't think Ash runs a life steal or something, right?
It does run the Emerald Life Stealer, I believe, the 3 mana 2 that when enlightened gets +4/+4, but again
So I think the main objective for Ixer right now in this game is to end the game before the things are enlightened.
look at this, the start here, just 6 damage coming every turn from those spells only. We see Dione visibly upset as well, oh my god, and even an Elise on top of that. At this point, I think this is gonna be a quick game. So what do you think could be the savior here? I mean, I don't think the Ash deck runs Avalanche, like we saw it was randomly generated last turn.
Yes, I think there's no option for the Leone to counter this damage right away.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, his best bet is just to, Wheel of Ionia, the Elise, and maybe deny the 2 damage that is coming from those minions. And when you have to do this, you are not feeling good in the game.
Okay, there's about damage coming.
That's so much damage, at least 6 damage from spells here. And Dione can only block 1 minion, and he will be able to use Brittle Steel on another minion if he so desires to block just 1 damage.
So he's gonna. So that's too much of damage in one turn, guys.
Already at 8 HP, and again, this is the prankster burn deck. It does not even need the minions on board to push damage. But when it gets these minions on board, I think that's just game over.
Okay, the Hyoni is very upset. Seeing his reaction, that's really unfortunate for Dione. pulling this series to game 5, but let's see any miracle happens.
Indeed, I think it's all about gonna be that healing potion. He just needs to top deck healing potion every turn essentially, till turn 10. But I mean, we know how likely that is. So Icarus will definitely be happy with the start he has got so far.
There is the Elise.
And even in his hand, we see a bunch of draw effects. We see the get excited there, and he will be able to just demolish this board here. Even an open attack coming from Karma here. That's the limit of desperation here coming from Dione.
So, what do you think? Any miracle can happen to save Dione?
I mean, I'm a huge fan of miraculous games, but in this spot, I think I don't even think there is a possibility of that. I mean, yeah, Bunny can be pulled out of hat, but for that you do require a hat. Right now, there is no hat for Dione.
You can see guys the power of the prankster burn. If you are willing to try it on the other, do let us know. How do you like this deck? How much are you winning with this?
Indeed, and the flash freeze gonna be. I mean, Brittlesell will be able to keep the Karma alive here. Wild Fist was committed here, but again, I think the Glimpse Beyond is a really good play here now, right?
Yes.
2 mana left over. He can decide to play the second Elise here, that crawling sensation, that is the signature card.
There is the glimpse.
But indeed, the glimpse is just a lot better. I mean, again, you just have lethal next turn, with that get excited. But it can get denied. Again, the opponent does have the healing potion. Oh my god, Mark of the Isles coming down as well. Honestly, that's his game, right?
I think this turn, no, I don't think the game is gonna move away anymore.
Yeah, only 6 mana available, so he can only deny a healing potion or he can flash freeze.
It's too late for the wolf to come right now.
Yeah, he needed that veil here. We'll see him trying his best to just defend here. Healing potion being committed, probably gonna be deny coming down as well. On the 2 damage, and that's something we don't see often.
Yes, but Dione is thinking very much of using that deny right away.
Yes.
But we know there is a Mark of the Isles.
Indeed, so Mark of the Isles will just be game over. I mean, he'll probably be forced to flash freeze it, and even if it does, the get excited is there as a backup to push that damage.
So I don't think any option is there for Dione to survive this game.
Indeed, so he'll be able to block 1 damage. He'll be alive at 2 HP. So get excited again, deals 3, and that should be game. It's just the right tools coming down, and we saw really bad starting hand from that Karma deck. There's just nothing that you could have Dione could have played in the early game.
There is a freeze.
There is the freeze being committed, and now he basically does not have anything to play here. And get excited will be committed, I believe, this turn itself to ensure the victory here.
Yes, that's the game for Ixer.
Alright, we see he's probably still calculating it, and I mean, it should be pretty clear, with just 2 mana. I mean, there is a healing potion if the second copy is being run, which most decks don't run. And we see a try at getting a random spell, but it's quite useless and no mana to spare. Dione, and oh my god, even an emote coming out from Icarus.
And there is the game for Icarus. Icarus takes the 3-2 victory over the Dione in the very close series.
Indeed, the Prankster Burn finally able to burn out the opponent quite easily, and Dione able to win that last game of the series here, end of the day here. That is the day 1. We saw the top, 8 players from Group A fight it out, and we saw a lot of interesting games, a lot of interesting decks as well. I'm definitely looking forward to tomorrow as well. I believe tomorrow we have Group B. What do you think about that?
I think it's going to be very interesting. We saw how close these games are. We saw the different variety of decks coming out from the players. This is going to be a hell out of there too tomorrow. Don't make sure you tune in tomorrow for the great action.
Indeed, we will have some amazing players such as Shanghai, Portia, Wolf, and Surrender. All of these known names playing tomorrow as well, along with 4 other players as well. So definitely you don't want to miss that out. And meanwhile, while you wait for it, why don't you guys come join in our WhatsApp group or our Discord group and just hang out, talk about Runeterra, and make sure you guys share your vault openings tomorrow as well.
And also, do not forget, if you have what it takes to be a competitive player, we are running a community cup next week. Make sure to wait for the right updates where you can join the tournament and win 35. Lots of prize.
Indeed, 35,000 in prize pool for next weekend's cup. It will be interesting, and we hope to see you guys there as well and in tomorrow's stream. But till then, I'm Tirth signing off for today.
And I'm Dexter. I hope you had a great time. Have a good night.